Hey there, Gaming Outsiders. On this week's episode, it is Ragnarok release week, so we thought we'd talk about other games based on mythology and what other stories we'd like to see come to video games. All three of us played God of War Ragnarok, so you'll hear those impressions, as well as CB's and my thoughts on Sonic Frontiers. Alyssa also played Beasts of Maravilla, and David Newman stops by to tell us about his experience playing the Entropy Centre, which sounds like it might scratch that Portal itch for all of us. This is the Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com. It is Tuesday, November 14th. We are so glad you're here, especially if this is your first episode of The Gaming Outsider. We are very, very excited that you decided to check us out. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my good friends, the tired Mr. Chris Behrensmeyer. What's up?
That's my secret. I'm always tired.
CB had a long day at work yesterday, but also joining us, Miss Alyssa White. Alyssa, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay, Scott. How about you?
I'm doing very well. I'm very excited to talk about it. It is the busy season of games. We had two huge releases this week we're definitely going to talk about, as well as some other games. Before we get there, though, let's talk about some games that we've been catching up on. Alyssa, you've been playing a game called Opus Echo of Starsong. What in the world is this?
Okay, so I purely just installed this on my Xbox because it was a Game Pass game and I was just gonna get points. But then I became sucked into this game. It's so good.
Oh, nice.
And I had never heard of it before. I just saw it on Game Pass. But in this game, you start out playing as an older man named June, whose wife has died. So he's just walking through.
June.
He's walking through this area where they had been before, and then it flashes back to when he was probably, I'm assuming they were in their 20s, how they met. But it combines so many different elements. It's got a visual novel quality when it comes to the dialogue, but then you're doing cave exploration out in space. You have management aspects because you have to manage your ship's gas and armor. You're going and kind of doing dice rolls on certain situations so you can win or lose certain things. There are puzzles. And it's just really interesting, and I love the space setting. I'm really liking seeing how June and his wife Ada first met and how they're interacting, and the side characters, how they interact as well. It's really interesting. Didn't expect it to be.
And it's on Game Pass, so people can go check it out right now if they want to. I never even heard of that game, and apparently it's been on PC for a while. So, yeah, good stuff. I dabbled a little bit more in Grandia 2. I kind of put the brakes on that this week because of God of War and Sonic, but I've hit a critical point in that game story-wise. I don't know if I told you guys about the story in that game, but there's a character that has been alluded to quite a bit, and I finally have faced that character, and I'm literally in the middle. Like my switch is on, it's like sleep mode or whatever, in the middle of this massive, very difficult boss battle that I don't know how I'm going to survive, and I'm worried about going back to it. Have you ever played an RPG and stopped in the middle of a fight and then go back to, weeks later, go back and try to pick up where you left off? So
I did that with Lost Odyssey, and I never finished that game because of that.
Yeah, you did it right in the middle of a boss fight too, huh?
Yeah.
So I was teetering on the edge of whether or not I was going to survive that fight as it is, but going in, not remembering a lot of those controls and what I've got is going to be it's going to be interesting for sure. I was doing okay, but I may have to consult a guide and get some tips on that boss because he's pretty tough. But Grandia 2, I am very thankful for Kevin recommending that. We're going to take a deep dive on that on a Patreon episode in the very near future. Looking forward to that. But let's go ahead and jump, as we always do, into the week's news. Just one new trailer this week. There's a game called Chained Echoes I encourage everybody to check out. It is coming to PlayStation, on Xbox, including Game Pass, Switch, and PC on December 8th. It looks like a old-school, sprite-based, turn-based JRPG, but it looks like something really special. Also, in other news this week, legendary voice actor Kevin Conroy unfortunately passed away this week. We've got some new information regarding the sequel to Control, and also Ubisoft is apparently refunding pre-orders for Prince of Persia: Sand of Time's remake. And then we also got the award nominees for the Game Awards, which are going to be streaming live on December 8th. CB, it's been a minute since you've been here. Which story would you like to talk about?
Oh, the best one.
I'm assuming
there's
Control.
A sequel for Control.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this wasn't a secret, right? We knew a sequel was coming.
We knew it was coming, but now it's like officially confirmed.
Right.
It just feels so good.
I just want to go back to the oldest house and spend so much time.
Are we going to be in the oldest house? That's a question.
I don't. See, the only thing that worries me about this is Remedy's going to pull a Remedy and be like, surprise, it's just in the same universe.
Oh no, I hope not.
I will fly to wherever you are and punch you in the mouth.
You're worried about that. I'm worried about the fact that they announced a co-development and co-publishing deal with 505 Games for the sequel. Because
I'm okay with this.
If it ain't broke, why mess with it?
Well, they're working on other things too.
I know.
Remedy's kind of busy right now.
Yeah, they got Alan Wake.
Sorry, folks. Call back later.
Hey, at least they know how to do sequels, right? At least we're getting more of this stuff.
I still talk about Control, and it's been a couple years now.
Yeah, what a great experience that was. It's been so long since I've played that. I actually picked it up on Steam. I don't know if you remember, because I wanted to push my Steam Deck to the limits, and it was on sale for like $11, which includes the bonus stuff. So, it's been long enough that it would feel like a fresh experience, and I never did go do that DLC.
I haven't either, and I was so excited for it too because it was the Alan Wake experience. I know it was Awe, but can't remember what it stood for.
Yeah, it was Alan Wake experience, and but because that game just was so much fun to play. I actually still listen to that song.
Old Gods of Asgard.
Oh yeah,
it's funny.
Control.
It's funny you mentioned that because when I was at work yesterday and I had my Spotify running in the ambulance, that came on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes.
Man, that's scene. Anyway, I want to get back to the sequel. We had a quote from Michael Kasuranen, who is the game director of the Control franchise, and he says, quote, "With Control, we leaped into the unknown. We wanted to create something new, something different and unexpected. A world like no other. Thank you, the audience, for making Control such a success for us. With Control 2, we'll take another leap into the unknown. It'll be an unexpected journey. It'll take a while, but to put it mildly, this is the most exciting project I've ever worked on. It's still early days, but it will be worth the wait." Unquote. That guy's passion just in the text alone gets me really excited. And I don't know, I was under the impression that the original Control was not that successful.
It was fairly successful, but it was successful over the long period.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Kind of slowly built up steam.
On Steam?
Oh. I didn't mean to make that joke, but it worked.
It wasn't exactly like a top seller, but it was a consistent seller.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
but, just hear him talking about it being something different and unexpected. Like that game was already different and unexpected. Yeah,
it was.
like the fact that was it Ati?
I think that was Ati.
Yeah, I want more.
Oh,
and there's just so much to explore. Luckily, Remedy's still going to own the property rights. I actually think this would make a phenomenal TV show. Even,
I mean, that's just all the rage right now.
It is
going around hunting AWEs would be awesome. But tell me more about the fridge, please.
Oh yeah, the fridge.
Yeah, the fridge. But the cool thing is, if you kind of read between the lines on this a little, he's like, yeah, it's early days, but the game will be available on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. I'm like, okay, so sometime within the next 7 years.
Yeah. We know it'll be this console cycle is basically all we know.
Yeah,
and
that's all I care about.
Yeah. But he basically said it's a concept stage only at this point. So there's nothing. This is a long ways away.
But here's the nice thing. They're using the same engine, so they've already got all the essential pieces.
Yeah.
Just put the puzzle together.
Yeah, I would be okay with that. I kind of wish that we'd get more games like that. I know that sounds weird and backwards thinking, but there's so many times where I'd be okay with just more of the same. Like maybe polish it up a little bit, but just let me play the same game.
It already looked phenomenal.
I know, it did look really good. And I'm going to sound like a complete hypocrite because I'm going to have things to say about God of War later that is doing just that, and I'm having issues with it. So
I think you have other problems with that coming.
Oh, yeah? We'll get there. We'll talk about God of War, we promise.
Yeah.
Well, no. Your other issue, I think I figured out what you did.
What do you mean? Your
TV issue.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about that when we get to God of War, but I'm hoping it's just an HDMI cable, but we'll get there. Anyway, Control 2. Yeah, if my PS5 goes on the fritz, okay, I'll just tell everybody. I was playing God of War and I'll CB, isn't my screen doing the same thing that it was doing to my PS4 back when my PS4 died and just went out?
Oh no.
So I started getting these like green and blue and red
flash
streaks, like flash lines just coming from the top and the bottom, and then whenever I spun around it started going on the crazy. So I freaked out and just did a reboot and it was fine. Played for another 10 hours and then it did it again, but it cleared after a reboot. So I am really worried that I'm going to be...
First off, Scott, can I ask you a simple question? And this is going to pertain to all the people out there in listening world.
Okay.
Where's your PS5 stored?
On a shelf under my TV. Laying down, not standing.
Stupid idiot.
Okay. Why am I a stupid idiot?
You put it in an oven.
Oh, I see. Okay. I need to stand it up on the floor right outside the thing?
Does it not have ventilation on the sides or in the back?
No.
Okay, yeah.
He put it in a hot box.
And ran it for, 6 to 12 hours at a time.
On a game that really makes it chug.
That's a good point, too. That's a good point. Anyway, back to the news. Alyssa, what story would you like to talk about?
Well, sadly, Kevin Conroy did pass away on November 10th, and I shared it to the group as soon as I saw it, because I'm like, oh no. Because Kevin Conroy, if you're not familiar, he was the voice of Batman not only in the animated series, but in the Arkham video game series as well. He was 66 years old, and he passed from a short battle with cancer. Just an iconic voice.
Like there's no other word to describe that than iconic. I've actually, since his passing, and condolences to his family, about how he was hired and how he auditioned, and just reading that story about when he walked in the booth and he was kind of a relatively unknown guy at the time, and I was reading the interview about the guys that were there at the audition, and how he got the difference between Batman and Bruce Wayne, and how he delivered just such a different thing, and both guys just looked at each other and were immediately like, we found our guy. And just how much he's done. And then he saw a picture of Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill posted a picture of himself with Kevin Conroy, saying how he considered him one of his dearest friends. I mean, it's just very sweet, but a sad day. Man.
Yeah.
And wasn't he in the middle of a project, like another series or something, and they're debating whether or not what they're going to do with that?
Yep.
Like what do you do if he hasn't finished it?
I guess it's hard. Well, he was also like in the Masters of the Universe reboot.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I forgot about that.
So I mean, he's been in a ton of things. He was in he's even been in Kevin Smith movies.
Has he really?
Yeah, he was in Yoga Hosers. He was Canadian Batman.
Oh yeah, because I remember Kevin Smith posted a tribute picture of him from that movie.
I did not see that movie. I heard it was terrible, so I avoided it like the plague. But now I'm gonna go watch it.
It's fun.
Believe it or not, Kevin Conroy was even in Max Payne 2.
Was he really?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Lord Jack.
I just played Max Payne 2 less than a year ago. I don't remember who that is.
There's Lord Jack, Cleaner, and Commando is who he's credited with.
Okay. Yeah, that's I feel like if Zach were here, he would have a lot more to say about this. Would. Being the massive DC fan and massive Batman fan.
Are you kidding me? Like this is a voice of my childhood.
Yeah.
Like every weekend watching Batman the Animated Series. Like for me, like I've always loved Kevin Conroy. Like Kevin Conroy has always been like my Batman.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people that are like full on gung ho. Like they love Michael Keaton. I hated Keaton as Batman. I loved Kevin Conroy. Just like to me, my Joker is always Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, who else competes with Mark? I mean, I'm genuinely asking.
Heath Ledger.
He was
one movie though.
Yeah, he was a good Joker, but
it's still good enough.
It's pretty good.
But
it's a different spin on the character too. That was just really grounded a bit more.
Yeah, so it's very sad because like that iconic gravelly voice has just always been like the Batman for me.
And it just sounds natural. It doesn't sound forced. You know, like everyone likes to make fun of Christian Bale, possibly rightly so, for his "Where are they? Where are they?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was a little over the top, but it never felt forced when Kevin Conroy did Batman or Bruce Wayne. It was great. So I want to talk briefly about Ubisoft refunding pre-orders for Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, which probably set off a lot of alarm bells with many people. I have not pre-ordered it myself. This is one that I had no problem waiting on. But if you remember, this game was originally announced back in 2020 and planned for January 2021 release. But Ubisoft has said, quote, Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake is not canceled. The game is currently in development at Ubisoft Montreal. At the moment, a new release date has not been set. We will provide new information on that front when we are ready. Since the game currently does not have a release date, existing pre-orders have been canceled and refunded where applicable. Pre-orders may reopen once a new release date for the game has been announced, unquote. So no real clear message about why the delay is happening. There's lots of speculation about development hell. COVID has been thrown in the mix, and also a lot of culture changes going on over at Ubisoft. They've been in the news quite a bit. So what do you guys think? Are you nervous? Is it possible this game might not see the light of day, or is this just a delay?
It's just a delay.
Yeah, I'm thinking
this is Ubisoft, man. If Ubisoft is gonna push out Skull and Bones,
yeah, I was just gonna.
I'm pretty sure the Sands of Time is gonna see the light of day.
It might be a while, but
it's all right. Yeah. It's not like there's not enough games to play right now.
Oh no, there's too much, man. Right now, it's hard to keep up because my week's gonna get busier.
I don't want to hear about it's hard to keep up. I put 12 hours alone into God of War on Saturday. I've played the game for 20 hours since Wednesday, and yet you still somehow played more than me.
Magic.
You are so weirdly competitive about beating me to the finish line of games, and I don't understand why.
I thought I legitimately thought you'd still be ahead of me, and it's like, how did you manage to fall behind?
Because I am doing everything. Okay, we're gonna get to talk about God of War later. Before we head on to the new games we've been playing, we got to talk about the Game Awards just briefly. There's a huge list. I don't really feel like reading through all the nominees, but I want to talk about some highlights here. First off, Game of the Year nominees. I was surprised by one in particular, but I'll go through the list. A Plague Tale Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
And your winner's going to be Stray.
You think Stray's going to win?
Maybe.
No. I'm not even a massive fan of the game like you guys are, but I think that Elden Ring is going to sweep this and then some.
More than likely.
Yeah.
But don't count Stray out.
I was kind of shocked to see this on there,
well.
and I haven't played it. Alyssa, you've played it. Is that Game of the Year worthy?
It's unique enough to be considered, but I was still surprised to see it on the list.
Okay. Whenever I see a sore thumb stick out on a list,
you root for it?
I'm like, there's a reason that the outlier is there.
Okay. I mean, people love cats, so, but also people hate cats. So there's a lot of people that will definitely not vote for it because it's a game based on cats.
I just like animals.
The one there was one that cracked me up that I'm like, well, duh. I gotta find it.
Don't you dare say it, because I know exactly where you're going.
No, I don't think you do. Best indie game. The games on the list are Cult of the Lamb, Neon White, Sifu, Stray, and Tunic. If only one of those games is on the Game of the Year list, isn't it kind of a no-brainer that Stray is going to win? Like, if it's considered for Game of the Year, how is any other indie game going to beat it for Best Indie? Or am I just way off base there?
Well, here's the thing. Like, Stray is appearing really bizarrely. Best Action Adventure. Plague Tale Requiem, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, Tunic. Like, I don't think you're catching the trend here. Apparently, whoever votes is like, cats, bro. Cats. Cats?
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the Game Awards are done a lot by audience voting, isn't it?
I know you can vote, but I don't know if they actually consider audience votes or if it's just industry votes that they actually count.
I honestly don't know. I just watch it and enjoy it and wait for the world premieres.
Hey Scott, Best Art Direction, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Scorn, Stray?
It's just Stray.
It did have really good art. I have to admit that.
Like,
yeah.
But like, Best Action Adventure.
There wasn't a lot of action in that game. I mean, I know it's adventure, but
it's action / adventure, which could be, translated, or it could be action or adventure.
It's a cat simulator, bro.
Have you played it?
No.
Then you can't talk about it. I'm
flat
out saying
I mean, you make the cat meow if you choose to lay down as the cat will start purring and it vibrates your controller. You knock stuff off of ledges with your paw.
There. Like, meow. I'm just, Stray is all over this. Best, like, they're in 2 best indie ones, like best debut indie: Neon White, Norco, Stray, Tunic, and Vampire Survivors.
I just love how you say it every time you mention the game. This, Stray. That's just how every time I read the name of that game anymore, I'm going to hear CB go Stray. It's just how it's
I'm that's how I'm picturing like the Game Awards. People are just going to open up the envelope. Stray.
When they're reading when they open the card, like everybody's confused. This really won Game of the Year? Yeah, I can
must be a lot of cat lovers on this voting guild.
Also, I do a video game podcast. How have I never heard of Immortality?
Oh, that's Sam Barlow's newest game, the creator of Her Story and Telling Lies.
Oh, okay. So it's relatively new.
Yeah, it just came out on Game Pass and consoles 2 or 3 months ago.
I'm pretty sure I played this.
It's a CB game. You love those FMV games, so.
I'm pretty sure I talked about it on this show.
Yeah. You know what we should do? We used to do this over when I was at the Hollywood Outsider. We should do like a contest, like to see who could make the most guesses for what's going to win each category.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, you're gonna organize.
Actually, you know what, Scott? I think we need to live stream our reactions to the Game Awards.
No, man, because whenever we do the Game Awards, we're
Stray.
When we do the Game Awards, it's one of my favorite things doing with you guys. Whenever we do E3 or anything, is when we sit together in a room and we're like, okay, I got the link for that. I got the link for that video, and we're trying to post everything on. Yeah. I don't feel like that would make for very good entertainment.
Kidding me? It's like watching like somebody give catnip to cats. It's just gonna be like, things.
I don't know, man. It's like
people are gonna be watching us be spastic as hell.
Oh, it's chaotic. I'm like, I'm looking for a link for this video. Anybody got it? What was the release date on that? Because I'm like trying to post notes on everywhere, and you guys are feeding me information, and It's like this whole production. Like, it matters that we're gonna have stuff up 20 seconds before anybody else, but it's fun. It's so much fun.
Oh, it's chaos.
So, you guys let us know. Would you want us to live stream us trying to scramble and post the correct YouTube videos and information for everybody? Let us know. Maybe if you really want to see that, we'll try to make that happen.
Honestly, I think we need to take this list though, and we all need to do our own sealed envelope on who we think is going to get it.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would be fun.
Wait, for like just the main category or for every category?
Oh, no. We need to vote main category. Like, I think we need to put a poll up on the Facebook.
That's what I'm saying. Group. I could do like a a Google form and have everybody like submit who they think is going to win each one, and then we tally it up and see who had the most correct answers.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
I almost feel like we should do a giveaway for it.
Oh, we could. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Can we skip all the ones though, like, influencer and no?
Yeah,
like,
no. The categories that you have listed here will be fine.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll skip
we will post that for you folks.
Esports teams and all right, CB, you were gonna do it. You were going to put this together because whenever we have,
I don't even
like
know
this,
how to make a poll.
Now, are we eligible to win, or does that just go?
Well, I say we do one just between us, the hosts, and then we open it to the community. No, because no, I already deeply regret doing that, especially after this year. But yeah, we're not going to do that. Anyway, I'm not going to go through the whole list here. There were some. I did see Live Alive on there under Best Role Playing Game. That was pretty cool. I think the one that cracked me up was Best Mobile Game, because what in the world is going to stand a chance to beat Marvel Snap, right? Like
Diablo Immortal.
I don't think Diablo Immortal was nearly as positively received.
All because it's positively received doesn't mean it's not going to win.
I'm just saying, man.
I'm voting right now. Best performance. Cat. Stray.
Stray.
Stray. Everything Stray.
What was the one you thought was going to make me mad, or was going to make you mad?
I knew like you were going to scroll down and be like, Vampire Survivors is on here. And I'm like,
oh yeah, was that new indie game like
best new indie debut?
Best new indie debut. I mean, that game has been on the top of the Steam most played charts for months, man.
It's because it's like what, $1?
It's now $5, but it's also free on Game Pass, and you still haven't freaking played it.
Nope. I'm trying to, but my Xbox keeps saying, sorry, there's been an error. Try again later.
Oh,
Even
really?
if I go to the store to try to install it, it says that.
Oh. Well, you have to survive the vampires to be able to down. That was terrible.
All I know is Be Still My Heart, Tudyk.
Yeah.
Is
Did you
on
beat that game?
No, I still haven't beat it because I
love this game so much. I don't play it, but I love it.
Dude, there's been a lot of releases this year. Like there's been a lot of games that like I just need to go back and finish because I'm like, year's creeping up quick, man.
I was thinking about that the other day because I know it's a ways away, but when we do our Game of the Year episode coming up, it's going to be interesting because the way that we do Game of the Year, where we all like do our top 10 and then they get points based on where they rank in our top 10. We haven't all played a lot of the same games this year. You know what I mean? Like,
there's been some big ones,
right? But I feel like that's what's going to be the determining factor. Yeah. I mean, I guess it doesn't necessarily have to make the list, but
I will tank every single one of them because my list this year is going to be weird.
It's going to be weird?
It's going to be weird.
Oh, okay. I mean, Elden Ring, for example. I know you and Zach love that game, and I imagine that's going to make somewhere in your top 10. But it's not going to make mine because I didn't play it for more than 2 hours.
Mine either.
And I assume that that's not Alyssa's type of game.
You're going to be the one because it's going to be like number 1, some random pinball game that I think
that's going to be me and Scott
desert.
Both. We're just going to be like random games.
I mean, it's hard to like even just sit back and think about what games I played this year. I always have to go back and look at my reviews from the year and see, oh, that's a game I played. That's a game I played. But yeah, it is interesting that usually my number 1 is always pinball. Like a smaller indie title. I've never put a pinball game on my freaking top 10 list.
Well,
Stop
we
it.
did all
Yes,
have
you
the same
have?
number one last year, miraculously.
It was Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Yep,
We didn't all put it at number 1, did we?
I think we did.
No.
We were all. It was number 1 or number 2 for every single one of us.
My number 1 was Astalon last year. Remember that?
Okay, so I think maybe it's number
So it
one
was
for
your
me,
number two.
CB, and Zach.
Yeah, I think it was in all of our top 5s for sure.
Yeah.
But we'd have to go to the tape. So, well, that is the week's news. Want to remind everybody before we move on that we are an independently funded podcast, and if you'd like to help us out, maybe drop us a tip, you can do so at our Patreon page. We've got a page that people can contribute monthly to help us offset the costs of, paying for the website, paying for the podcast itself, and then in turn picking up games that we can play and review, and then turn around and give them back to the community. And in fact, this month we are doing 2 game giveaways. Hopefully, you get a chance to hear this before our drawing. We are doing a drawing this Friday. That would be, what's that? Today's the 14th, so 15th. Or is today the 14th or the 15th?
Today's the 15th.
Today's the 15th.
I said 14th at the beginning of the episode, and nobody corrected me.
I didn't catch it.
16, 17, 8. So the 18th, we're doing a drawing for 2 game giveaways. One of which was purchased with Patreon funds. One that is donated. We've got a copy of Sonic Frontiers on Xbox One and a copy of God of War Ragnarok on PS5. So yeah, and all of our patrons also get some bonus entries if you do, throw us a couple bucks, because it does help us out, like I said. CB, you want to run really quick and let know people some of the episodes that they can check out for bonus content on our Patreon page?
Max Payne 1 and 2, Break the Seal, Little Samson, a retro outsider look, Link's Awakening versus Sonic Generations, starring the beautiful Kevin Honigford.
Yes.
Desert Island Games with CJ Moore, and one of these days, Scott will actually make it over to my house.
I've got
we'll
all
play some
next
weird
week
stuff.
off. Just saying, man.
Oh, you want to be
I am
tortured?
Sweet.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Well, Thursday's Thanksgiving. Friday is our Mission Impossible movie marathon, which you were taking part of, right?
It's Black Friday, bro.
Oh, you're going shopping?
What do you think?
I'm not going out to the stores. I'm doing
I'm
my
not
movie
either.
marathon.
I like to battle people for deals. Shove small children to the ground.
I can
Well, that's
picture
what's nice
CB
is I
doing
can
this.
I can just text CB and say, "Hey, I need this TV. Can you grab one for me while you're over there at the old Best Buy or whatever?" And usually oblige us. So anyway, Patreon content. If you'd like to check out some of those bonus episodes or just help us out, we really do appreciate it. And you can head over to patreon.com/thegocast. And as always, none of that money goes into our pockets. We do have a business account for the Gaming Outsider. And we do not pay ourselves. We do not, we buy games that we play to review on the show, but we turn around and give them right back to you guys with giveaways. So we're not doing it for us. We're doing it for the community and for our next gaming convention, which we need to get to planning. CB, by the way, we need to get that going.
Yes.
Let's go ahead now and move on to the new games that we've been playing. New games coming this week. I am looking through the list, and I feel like I might be getting a little bit of a reprieve to catch up on my games from this week. Floodland is coming to PC on November 15th. That is a management simulator game. Pentiment, which I am hearing fantastic things about, on Series X and S and Xbox One on November 15th. That's today. And I believe that's a Game Pass game.
It is.
Yep.
And the one that I know CB is chomping at the bit to play, Smurf's Cart on Switch, November 15th.
Yeah, no.
Bravery and Greed coming to PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC today. That's the 15th. Eden Gate, The Edge of Life, PS4, Xbox One, PC on November 15th. RWBY Arrowfell.
Ruby.
Is it pronounced Ruby?
Yeah, it's weird.
Yep.
Okay. I wish I would have known that before I sounded like an idiot saying
Sorry.
RWBY.
No, it was cute. Loved it.
All right. PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Switch, and PC November 15th. Somerville on Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC on the 15th. Call of Duty Warzone 2.0. PS5, PS4, Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC November 16th.
What was it? Call of Duty Warzone, the I.
The what?
The Call of Duty that can't count to 4?
No. That was Call of Duty 4, which was Warzone was different, wasn't it?
Oh, okay. Because I was like, man, that'd be so funny if it was Call of Duty I 2.0. I was like, wow, you guys are losing it.
It would have been II.0. Anyway, Goat Simulator 3, hotly anticipated game coming to PS5, Series X and S, and PC on November 17th. Star Sand, PS5, PS4, Series X and S, and Xbox One and PC November 17th. Spider-Man Miles Morales is getting the port over to PC on November 18th. And here's the one I know CB's stoked for. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet coming to Switch November 18th. They just keep making those games. And also the Dark Pictures anthology, The Devil in Me, coming to PS5, PS4, Series X and S, Xbox One, PC on November 18th. I believe that is the 5th game in that series. Is that correct?
Third.
Man of Medan.
Yeah.
Little Hope.
Or fourth.
Fourth,
yeah. House of Ashes.
It's number 4, House of Ashes, and then The Devil in Me.
Oh, there's only 4. I thought there was 5 for some reason. Anyway, Alyssa, any of these you plan to pick up this week?
I do want to play The Devil Inside Me. I haven't played Little Hope or House of Ashes, but this one just looks like Saw.
Is it The Devil Inside Me or The Devil in Me? Because that sounds like a different...
Devil in Me. That is my fault. I am sorry.
No, I just want to make sure, because that sounded like something completely different.
I think that's a movie title. I don't know. Pulled it out of my head.
Oh, okay.
The Devil in Me. There we go. Looks great. Jessie Buckley's in it. Fantastic actress. I do want to check out Somerville and Pentiment since they're both on Game Pass. Don't know if they'll be for me, but just want to check them out. And at some point, I would like to play Pokemon, but at the moment, I don't have time for that long of a game.
Yeah. CB, stupid question. Do you have time for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet?
What do you think?
Yes.
Yes.
So angry.
Pokemon? Oh, man, I've already got my starter picked out.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Any others besides that one?
The Devil in Me.
I'm
going to support Supermassive, man. Come on.
I am intrigued by Pentiment. I've heard that is a very touching story, a very punch-in-the-gut type of story, so I'm interested, but in reality, there's no way I'm going to touch it this week.
Yeah.
Between God of War and I want to get back into Sonic, and I still got to finish Grandia 2 at some point so I can record an episode with Kevin. I'm going to be busy for a while, but there are your new releases. And let's go ahead and get into it finally, because God of War came out this week. And this is one of those rare occasions where all of us are playing it. I mean, at least the 3 of us. I don't know if Zach is playing it. I assume not, but I don't know for sure.
I'm not sure.
I'm going to assume not, because he wasn't very hot on playing this game. And if you listened to last week's episode, neither was I. So what did I do?
You got FOMO.
I got FOMO.
Yeah,
hardcore.
He got hit in the face with it hard.
Well, here's the thing: is CB and I, it's no secret, CB and I game share, and CB has bought a lot of games for us, and it was more or less my turn. So that's my excuse. It's not FOMO. It's that I needed to pick up a game, because it was my turn, and so I picked up God of War. I should have just done it, kept it to myself, and not told him I was playing it, because then he wouldn't have tried to be like uber competitive and just like, I gotta beat Scott. I gotta beat Scott.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not being uber competitive.
Yeah.
Believe me, this is not the only game I'm sinking time into.
I know, that's what drives me crazy. I wish
people could see your face, Scott.
Mine?
Yes.
I'm so like flabbergasted.
But you're smiling so widely, and I can see the like annoyance and frustration on your face, but you look adorable at the same time. I'm like,
yeah.
Like, I just want to beat CB in a game.
I just want to. Well, I want to review the game as part of it, but if you,
you can do that all you want.
No, because I got like 5 other games I'm supposed to be reviewing right now. You got
me
games.
Too, man.
Yeah, I've got 2. I got a review.
Anyway, let's talk about God of War Ragnarok, because this is the sequel to the 2018 God of War, and I'm going to kick things off with my early impressions, because I think part of the FOMO that I was getting was seeing some of the review scores for this game. 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Just stellar. Like, this is a perfect game. And I'm like, man, I got to play it. I liked the original God of War, and I want to see what everybody's talking about. Not to start off on a negative, I am not seeing the 10 out of 10s for this game. And a big part of it, and like I said, I'm going to sound hypocritical, is that the gameplay feels very much, it feels so familiar. So familiar. Am I alone in this, or do you guys think there's enough new going on here?
Okay, hang on. Can I just say that's not a bad thing?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad thing, but I don't know.
I do agree with you.
Yeah.
That it feels very much like the first game did, combat-wise.
Mm-hmm. You do start with the Blades of Chaos this time, which is interesting, and I do kind of like the dynamic how the Leviathan acts as your frost, as your ice power, and the Blades of Chaos act as a fire. I feel like that's playing into a little bit more this time around than it did the last time. That's pretty cool. The hits in true God of War fashion feel very chunky. Like when you hit something, it really feels like you hit something. How you guys liking the combat?
I like it.
It's not bad.
Are you guys playing on normal difficulty or?
I am, whatever it's called. Give me balance.
Give me balance is normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I did too, and I actually am surprised that I am sticking with it because, even though it does feel familiar, I feel like this one is leaning more towards the Souls-like genre a little bit, or it's teetering on the edge. CB is looking at me inquisitively.
Yeah, I get it because it really is emphasizing evading, dodging, parrying.
And parrying, yeah. And I feel like I'm much more successful parrying in this than I am. I'm not saying it's like a hardcore Souls-like. Kind of like Jedi Fallen Order.
Jedi Fallen Order.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I was terrible at parrying in Jedi Fallen Order, and I feel like I'm much more successful in this one.
Okay, hey, hang on. There's a reason you're more successful. This game telegraphs the hell out of it.
Oh, yeah, with the little yellow circle.
Yeah.
I imagine the higher difficulties
yellow,
take that away.
There's the little yellow one, there's the double blue, and the red.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't come across the double blue yet. I'm only 5 hours in. I am the baby of the group.
Oh, okay. The double blue is basically a shield bash that you can do to kind of stun them, which is a double L1 tap, I believe.
Okay.
And that becomes very, very helpful. But even if you do see the tells, I feel like there's still a lot of pattern memorization. I hit a boss, and I won't say what the boss is, but it took place in a library. Do you remember what I'm talking about, CB?
Yep.
That boss took me a few tries because there was a lot of, okay, she's going to do this attack, and she's going to do it a second time immediately after. And if you don't get the first parry, you're going to stumble unless you've got the right upgrades, and you're going to get hit by the second one as well. So it becomes imperative that you time that first one correctly, which is really cool. I don't know. That felt more like some of the pattern recognition that is required for games like Elden Ring and Dark Souls and Bloodborne. So I'm not saying it's as hardcore as those, but I feel this game is giving me hope for the possibility of being able to get into Elden Ring sometime in the future, because I definitely feel like I'm missing out on that. On not.
Oh, I do as well.
So, and again, I'm starting negatively here, but I'm sorry, guys, but the skill tree and all the the equipment management and the relics and the runes, there is just entirely too much stuff going on here. Am I alone in that?
It feels super inflated.
It does.
And unnecessarily so. I don't really understand. I mean, I get people want to have new stuff to do, but
here's my thing. Like when it comes to like the armor and everything, you can sell it, right?
You can, and I mostly do, but sometimes I never know which one is really the best.
No, look at your play style.
Mm-hmm.
find something that works in your tandem play style.
Are you talking about like the extra attributes, or are you talking about like the strength and dexterity and
the attributes and like what it does? So like mine, every time I get one of the R3 kills, it gives me a health boost.
Yeah, I have one that did.
So
I had one that did that.
So I've destroyed everything else, so I can just stay in the pocket and just swing for the fence. So for me, like the other stuff is not necessary. I don't care about it. Like I don't care to. Like I have a secondary set that I can use to stun lock things, like increase stun, but like extra runic damage, I don't care. Extra luck, I don't care.
I don't really use the runic damage stuff at all. Like my
you will later.
My skill tree, because you can like basically upgrade the Leviathan axe, the Chaos blades, and then something like range damage. And I have most of that tree filled out, and I don't use any of those abilities except for one or two. And I think the game kind of leans you into that a little bit because they do the Skyrim thing where like you get rewarded for using that specific ability. And it, once you do it a certain number of times, it kind of upgrades, and then you get to attach this little skull thing to it to make it even more powerful in one of the attributes. So you're kind of like, if you just use the same move more than any others, it's going to, by default, become more powerful anyway, which is kind of cool. I like that. But then there are so many moves that I don't even remember how to use. I got to the point, the last time I played, I wasn't even looking at the ability. I was just dropping experience points in there to have something to put experience points into. So, I don't know.
I've got my usual combo chain that I run through, and like your partner, I'm sitting here like, yeah, okay, like I need you to do this, and I'm just gonna smash everything in the face.
It's funny you say that because we are both doing the same thing that you and I always do with these games. You go in and smash first, and you know what? You can guess what I'm doing.
You're staying on the outside.
I'm staying on the outside, throwing my axe, trying to get as much damage as I can until I am forced to, go face to face with these guys, and then I'm doing the dodging and parrying. But I'm trying to pick off as much HP off of them as I can before I get involved.
Now, I will say, I've gotten really good at switching between the Leviathan axe and the blades.
See, I use the Leviathan axe primarily. Like, I haven't really found a benefit between them.
I do prefer the Blades of Chaos at the moment, but I'm not as far in, so.
All right, you know how you can throw the axe and freeze something?
Yeah.
Throw the axe, freeze something. Okay, that's one less thing I have to worry about at the moment. Atreus, you shoot at that thing. I'm going to use the Blades of Chaos and kill this thing. And then that thing, and then that thing.
Okay, so you're taking off. You're taking one out of commission for the time
basically
being.
Crowd control.
Okay, gotcha.
So like there's ways. That's why I say like find your play style. That's I like having the multiple weapons because it opens up a different type of play style from like you said, you're able to do a little bit more ranged, whereas I'm just like gung ho in the pocket. Let's smash.
I do the smash thing as well.
Do you? I don't have a problem with the multiple weapons. That's not my issue. My issue is all of these experience points that I'm getting, because again, I'm doing all the side quests, are they're not paying off in terms of like the abilities because I'm not using them because I can't remember every button combination for every. I feel like I'm playing a Dead or Alive game, with all this stuff I got to do.
You can literally button mash your way through this game.
I can't play that.
I'm not kidding. Like, just literally run up to them and just be like, X, R1, R2, L2, L, just mash buttons. And you
I see.
Yeah.
Smash
and just
things.
Watch something happen. I refuse to play that way. I can't. I feel like I earned it.
No, like I said, I have my play style, but I'm saying you legitimately could just smash.
Okay. Now, I've been talking a lot of negatives, and you guys just jump in if I'm talking too much. But on the positives, this game looks gorgeous.
Oh yeah,
it looks.
It's pretty.
It's real pretty, and I love how these sections are. I say this in quotes, linear by nature, but they don't feel linear. You know what I mean? Like there are sections that you can't access yet, but the way it's designed is just so brilliant in that there's stuff in the distance that feels like you should be able to go there, but you can't reach it, and it doesn't feel like the stupid, oh, there's a force field keeping me from going there. It's just, I'm this all-powerful guy, but I can't,
step over a log.
I can't step over a rock, which is, that's a video game thing, but even like points that you can climb, you can recognize from a ways away that that's a thing that I'm going to be able to climb up, or I'm going to be able to use my blades to rappel up.
Okay. That irritates me.
Really? Because I feel like that was a clever way to do that without just being
the fact that
bits.
Every single ledge and every single crack that you can climb has painting on it, even with the direction to go.
Yeah.
It's irritating.
I mean, somebody climbed it before and they wanted to let everybody else know.
They're just being thoughtful.
Yeah, no. Apparently these people that have traveled across multiple realms and written in the exact same handwriting and language and symbols.
We're going to get to the end of the game. There's going to be an explanation for it. There's some character.
Gotcha.
No, but it looks amazing.
It does, and thank you, Corey Balrog, for finally doing a screen-accurate version of Thor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
God bless the maker.
Don't ruin that fight for anybody here, but there's something that happens in that fight that was really cool.
Yeah. But I just like the fact that Thor is not blonde.
Yeah.
Thor is also not ripped.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
I'm like, thank you. Chris Hemsworth and the MCU have ruined multiple Norse characters for many people.
Well, as the thing is, I never, having never read Norse mythology, I had no idea that Odin was the protagonist or antagonist. Like, to me, Odin says, oh, he's a good guy. He's in charge of Asgard, and he's Thor's dad, and all this kind of stuff. And
Odin is not a good guy.
I did not know who was playing Thor until this game. And
but by the way, you notice Thor. He is my peoples.
For everyone listening, CB was motioning to himself.
Yes. Very seductively, kind of.
Yes.
Yes.
It's Radio Man. No,
I know. It's the theater of the mind.
I cannot remember the actor's name though, but he's the guy from Sons of Anarchy. Ryan Hurst, thank you. He played Opie on Sons of Anarchy, and wasn't he also in Remember the Titans?
Yeah,
remember that movie, early 2000s? I think
he was the quarterback.
Yeah, what a great casting! The jury's still out on the casting for Odin, and I don't want to say who it is.
I'm not a fan.
I haven't read the stuff, so I don't know what he looks like, but that just is not what I pictured Odin in my mind.
Oh, I didn't picture that either when I first saw him.
I'm just like, since when did Odin go to Jersey?
All right. Another positive on this game is the biggest reason that I am drawn to this game, outside of the fact that I want to be playing something else more, is the storytelling. I am 100% compelled to push forward just to see what's going to happen next, and less so on the main story, more so on the side quests, which to me, I don't know how much of these either of you have done. They remind me very much of the side quests in Witcher 3, where they felt full and meaty, and there was actual emotional stuff happening that were almost more memorable than some of the stuff going on in the main story. I finished, where I'm at, CB. I finished a side story with a companion that is not Atreus, which, by the way, that's another cool thing about this game is you get different companions, which I think is really cool. But that was an emotional journey for that character, and especially what happens with these two characters early on in the game, and just listening to the banter that they have, and banter doesn't even seem like the right word, just genuine human conversations that are going on that just are so great.
The writing and the
voice acting.
Just the writing, the voice acting, but just not just the voice acting, because a lot of this is mocap as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is just stellar.
It's great.
It is.
It really gives me drive to do those side quests, because if I'm being honest, the loot is not drawing me in.
Yeah,
it drives me crazy going through, like, oh, I see a chest over there. I got to figure out how to get this chest, and I work my way and figure out I got to swing here and I got to freeze this and turn this wheel. And what do I get? I get some crafting material.
Yeah. You know, like, oh boy, I got some more rawhide.
Yeah. Like in this giant legendary chest thing that I have to bust open or push off the top, and then there's some more metal in there. Like
it makes me happy though when you like do the certain ones and it's like, oh look, another one of Idun's apples.
Those are good.
Yeah.
Those are genuinely fun to figure out too.
There's those are actually part of the mythology of Norse.
Okay. All right. Weren't they in the last one too?
Yeah, but it's cool to see that like they've dedicated to like the actual mythology. Like there's been a lot of thought put into like if you know what the apples are in Norse mythology, like why they chose that, and like there's just a lot of soul to this game. Okay. And the motion capture, like when you see Kratos at certain scenes, like because like a PS2 era, we're so used to just angry face.
Yeah.
Like just seeing like the actual emotion in the face, I'm just like, man.
Plus he's being more fatherly than he was even in the first game.
It's even more than that though. Like you can tell, like, because like talk of war is a very big thing in this.
He's very anti-war, which
he, for being the god of war is kind of cool.
Well, I mean, somebody else is as well, if you're not to spoil anything, but
oh, I know, but seeing the emotion in his face, like those, like you can just tell, like he's a tired soul.
Yeah, that's really cool. Alyssa, you haven't shared too much. How are you feeling about it 5 hours in?
Again, I don't have as much experience as you guys do, but I think it's utterly gorgeous, especially just like rowing the boat, which you did in the first game. Just the water. Water's one of the hardest things to animate, and it just looks so stunning. And I love the story. I love the way that they kept the, it feels like it's all one shot. The cinematography style of it.
Oh yeah, there's not a seam. Like when they stop talking and you start playing.
It never feels like there's a cut anywhere or any kind of loading.
I found a couple. And it's when you go in buildings.
Oh, is that what it is?
You ever notice like when you go in a building and there's a bright flash?
No.
I haven't noticed that.
Like, okay, so if you go in some buildings, like all of a sudden it feels like you go from the bright outside and it's dark. Like there's a bit of a seam transfer there. Like it's because we're at such a fast loading time that you don't notice.
Right.
Or when you go from inside a house to out and it's like very bright all of a sudden and then everything comes into view. It's very quick, but now that you know, like when you go in and out of something, like look and you'll notice it.
Okay.
So they've done a very, very stellar job at hiding it.
Nice.
Oh yeah, because I wouldn't have thought about that, but now I will because you told me.
Yeah, now I'm not going to be able to unsee it. Thanks a lot, man.
Sorry.
The last thing I'll say positively about this game is I love the boss fights. I really enjoy the boss fights. And not even just like the big boss fights. Like there is a surprise mini boss fight, I guess you'll say, where I had to fight two creatures that kind of I was not expecting
on a
to
shore.
Fight. Yes, you know what I'm talking about? That fight was awesome. There's another fight shortly before that where you were fighting something that was I don't know if it's spoiling it because I feel like
a rip.
Yes, there you go. You know what I'm talking about? That fight was awesome. It just felt epic and looked gorgeous. I genuinely look forward to the boss fights because they are the perfect amount of difficulty for someone like me, at least at the level that I'm playing.
It's
when you screw up, it feels like you screwed up, not like you got messed up by the game. I don't know. Really like that. So really digging the game, but again, I'm getting tired of fighting just random encounters, like group of 4 or 5 people.
That is okay. This is my biggest gripe about this game. You clear an area, you go into the next room, open a chest, have a very short dialogue scene, go back into previous room, and fight a same group of enemies.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that as well.
It's a little tiring.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, oh, can we just please not and just move along? Because I just want to hear my head talk.
Mimir.
Alyssa, just wait, Mimir.
I'm so excited. I've done a couple of side quests that involve Mimir, and I was delighted just to listen to him. That Scottish accent, it's great.
Well, okay, this is actually something that I'm noticing as this game goes on. This game isn't just growth of Kratos and Atreus.
Yeah.
But there's the other characters.
Yes.
That are having their own personal growth and journey as you're going along as well.
Plus, you're also learning more about these characters' backstories just from the conversations. Like, Mimir will be like, hey, can you tell the story about that one time when this happened? And I assume it's some random thing from Norse mythology that I don't know. So I feel like I'm actually learning about mythology as I'm going through here, which is really
cool. Both the 2018 and this have done a phenomenal job at teaching some of the base Norse mythology.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to plowing through this game. I hope that I have it finished by the time we record next week, because I want to get into the other game that we're going to talk about, which is Sonic Frontiers, which I think is a good time to move over and talk about that, because I've been playing this as well. I know, CB, you have. Alyssa, have you dove in? Have you jumped into Sonic Frontiers yet?
I have not, and Kevin, I am so sorry. I'm just prefacing this. I've only played a little bit of the first Sonic. I have not played any other Sonic game. So, I am a Sonic noob.
Okay. Well,
it's okay. We welcome you to the fold.
I just hate disappointing Kevin.
We all do. Oh, you hate disappointing Kevin. Wait till you hear what I have to say about it. Now Kevin just perked up. He just reached down and turned up his stereo on his car or on his phone or whatever. He really wants to hear what I have to say now. No, I was somewhat of a Sonic noob. I had dabbled in Sonic 1 and 2, I think, when I was a kid, and until he made me play some games for Patreon. And then what was the one he made me play? Sonic, was it Generations?
Generations,
which was I love that game. And you know what? They made Sonic even better with Sonic Frontiers, which I was very glad that it was when I finally sat down to play it, because I had heard so many people trashing this game leading up to it. And I don't even think it was people that had actually played it. But you remember when they first dropped those trailers and everyone was just hating on Sonic Frontiers?
I do remember that.
Yeah.
And I popped into this game, and you know what they did? They turned Sonic into a Mario game.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. They totally turned this into a Mario game, man. Tell me I'm wrong.
It's a Mario game, but it's too big.
You think it's too big? Interesting. They're calling this not an open world game, but an open zone game, because basically you have 5 different worlds. I'm still only in the first one just because I am I can't not pick up everything. I can't not go do stuff, which is crazy.
Stop it. You will never be able to pick up everything.
It's so much fun. I feel like I have gamer ADD as I'm going through this, because you'll be going through a zone and you'll just, in the distance, like we were promised back. Remember when Breath of the Wild was first announced, and they're like, oh, you see that thing in the distance? You can go there.
Yeah, I remember that.
Sonic Frontiers does that to the nth degree, because you'll see just this random collection of rails and hoops and springboardy things, and you're like, I know there's going to be something there, and I want to get to it. I want to figure out how to get to it. And unlike God of War, which does not have the satisfying, like God of War, it does not have the satisfying loot drop at the end. It's the same thing. Oh, I get another boost to my health. I get another boost to my speed. I get another token to, whatever. Another heart thing that I can talk to Amy with or whatever. But it doesn't matter because it is so much fun getting there. Like figuring out what you got to do.
You're just having a blast because this game literally took Mario Odyssey and smashed it into Breath of the Wild repeatedly.
And then gave you super fast speed and dynamic camera angles and that just feel awesome. It's just so much fun to play. I actually started this on Tuesday because I was off on Tuesday for election day. And I picked it up and started playing it, but I had bought God of War first, and I was thinking that God of War came out on Tuesday as well. I didn't realize it came out on Wednesday. So I was like, I bought God of War so that CB and I can play it. I'm going to play that. And then they're like, oh, it's not available till tomorrow. And I'm like, well, I got the day off. I got to play something. So I picked up Sonic Frontiers, got into Sonic Frontiers, and I could not stop playing it that night. I'm like borderline getting bummed out that I knew I had God of War, which I felt obligated to play because I actually purchased that one with my own money since we bought it digitally. And now I just can't. Now I'm thinking about is Sonic Frontiers. It is that much fun to play. And CB, I know you're much farther than I am. Does that fun, continue when you get to other worlds, or does it ever feel like it's overwhelming, or what's going on?
It definitely. It's the second area that I'm in. It's definitely still just as big and wide and way too much to do that you're like, I
understand that
it's
feeling.
Overwhelming.
I get it. I do get the overwhelming feeling, but everything that you do is so much fun. Like I'm never not having fun playing Sonic Frontiers.
I'm not saying I'm not having fun, but it gets to the point that I'm like, I'm tired of just like rail grind, run in circle.
Well, maybe you should not play for 12-hour marathon sessions at a time.
I don't.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, how do you traverse the world? Are you always just running, or do you get a chance to just explore?
Well, it's mostly exploration. The way the game works is you are trying to get the Chaos Emeralds, and in order to get the Chaos Emeralds, you need a certain number of keys to unlock them from these pedestals.
Mm-hmm.
And to get those keys, some are scattered throughout the world, but there are basically, think of like the temples in Breath of the Wild, like he was talking about, you know, where you find these temples, you go in them, and then they give you like a classic Sonic level. Like either side-scrolling or from behind the back, like the newer ones, and you earn keys based on how quickly you beat the level, how many rings you collected. You get one just for beating the level. There's like these criteria, so you can get up to 5 of them with each of those. So you're
the five red coins.
Oh, you're doing another comparison to Mario?
Well, no. That's another one of ways to get the key.
Oh, 5 red coins inside the... Yeah, you're right. 5 red coins. So, again, they made it a Mario game, right?
They did. But it's...
I can hear Kevin punching his radio.
Not a Mario, stupid people. Well, I mean, and the reason why I give it like the Breath of the Wild comparison is like, oh, look, this little rock creature that you got to find and collect and take it to the guide to get extra things.
Wasn't there like 900 of those in Breath of the Wild?
Yeah.
Yeah,
there was. It was
crazy.
Dumb.
I actually got a little worried when I started playing it because I was getting Chaos Emeralds so quickly. I'm up to 6, and I've only been playing for about 4 hours or whatever. But I was like, we're in other games, weren't Chaos Emeralds like a big deal? Like you got 7 of them at the end of the game. This one, like each zone has its own 7 Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah. Well, no. Kind of.
Okay, well, don't spoil anything.
I'm not. You'll find out why there's 7 Chaos Emeralds in each one.
Yeah, I hear there's actually some explanation. I was listening to the EXP cast, and Pat was talking about how there's actually like some derivation of the Chaos Emeralds, which makes me a little bit excited to get into the game a little bit.
Yeah, you're like, oh, okay, I get it.
So anyway, basically, Alyssa, to answer your question again, you're trying to get these 7 Chaos Emeralds in order to be able to beat a boss, because you go Super Saiyan or whatever. What's it called? Supersonic?
Supersonic. which, by the way, no, hang on. He's not far off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you collect the 7 items, which then make you become this golden-haired warrior that's super strong and can fly around and beat the crap out of things.
Yeah, so.
That does sound a lot like the Dragon Ball.
Yeah. I'm like,
So you fight the boss, and then I haven't fought the boss yet, but I'm assuming that you go to the next world and kind of do the same thing over and over again.
Which, okay, to me, like, I've been skirting around this long enough.
I don't think you like this game.
No, I do, but for the strangest reason. Because this game is a love letter to so many other games. And I was kind of tempted, I'm like, this game feels like Mario Odyssey crossed with Breath of the Wild. Mix in a little bit of Dragon Ball and some Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh.
Because the Titan fights feel like Shadow of the Colossus fights.
I haven't got to one yet, but I hear that like the music amps up and they're just like super fun and crazy and insane.
And when you fight them, it feels like a Dragon Ball Z fight scene.
All right. I'm intrigued.
I'm just about to fight my second Titan. So yeah.
You know, the other thing that I'm surprised that I like about this game is the ambient, calm music that plays when you're running around the open zones. I don't like. I do, because I love just like kind of exploring and just having this sense of peace and calm, but you're still once in a while doing like this crazy, rail grinding or loops and stuff like that. But then when you go into the actual levels, then the music amps up and you're doing the classic Sonic music and it's just high energy.
I know. I want that all the time.
I don't. I think it would be exhausting. No. I think that was a really good decision.
Shut your mouth.
I want
my Sonic music. If I'm running fast, man, I don't want to call me like, wow, well, look at me. I'm taking a nice jog in the park. I want my just like, yeah, turn it up.
Alyssa, I think that you would really appreciate this game, even though you haven't played a Sonic game. I think it's accessible enough. I think the combat is simple enough, but there's still some challenge there. It is just genuinely fun to watch. I was fighting I'm not going to say a boss, but one of the machines that's like a giant squid.
A mini boss.
Mini boss is a giant squid that is basically has a long tail that's like a ribbon. And in order to fight this boss, you have to figure out how to get on top of that ribbon and then speed towards the head to be able to attack the head. But while you're on this ribbon, it's like his tail, he's doing loops and up and down hills, and he's flying around through the air, basically giving you a loop-the-loop track to run on that you have to keep on, and you also have to dodge these fireballs that he's shooting, and it just feels awesome. It feels great.
And it's funny because we keep talking about the overworld. But this game really gets fun in the mini levels.
Yeah.
To me, that's where this game really shines.
They feel more brilliantly designed than even some of the past ones I played in Generations.
Well, I mean, a lot of these mini, like the levels morph between being the traditional like Sonic 1, 2, and 3 like side scrolling into the later Sonic entries where it's like running down the pipe.
Right. It's great.
They blend it together so well.
They really do. I am shocked at how much I am enjoying Sonic Frontiers. I cannot wait to get back into it, which is interesting because it's stupid to compare God of War and Sonic because they're completely opposite games, right? But where God of War is technically superior, like it is a gorgeous game. I haven't had any issues with clipping or dialogue or anything like that, but I'm not having as much fun playing it. Meanwhile, Sonic Frontiers, it looks good, but it doesn't look, it's a Sonic game. It's not going to look, realistic or anything like that. And it has some issues. I have some issues with the camera. I have issues climbing. There are sections where you have to climb walls. I have wanted to throw my controller against the wall, trying to climb up straight up, because the camera just wants to do wonky things. There's a section where you have to talk to a character that does upgrades for you. Do you remember this, CB? The guy that you have to give, and the voice acting drops at that point, which I don't have a problem with. But then when they do they actually do the text conversation, they don't say Sonic : says this, and then other character : says this, and there's no different color of text between those two characters. So you have to kind of like figure out which character is saying which line.
Oh.
Which is like a really stupid thing to get upset about, but like, did nobody like play test that and go, hey guys, maybe we should just change the text color so Sonic is in blue and the other person that's talking is in something else, right? Isn't that simple?
That makes sense to me, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Simple things, but believe it or not, I've actually had more glitches in God of War than I have Sonic Frontiers.
No, you have not. You are lying, sir.
No, I am not. I have on 2 occasions, and I actually screenshot one of them, where Kratos fell through the world.
Okay.
Just walking along, you open a chest, and all of a sudden Kratos is just like flying T-posing, like falling, and I'm like, and it's funny because at the top where it's like how many meters away you are from something, you just watch it just scrolling. I'm like, I never expected this out of a God of War game to have a funny glitch.
Yeah.
But like the Sonic games, like I've had a couple where like a little bit of screen tearing, but I haven't had Sonic fall through the world.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what to say, but
Sonic Frontiers though is.
Yeah, I am definitely enjoying Sonic Odyssey. It is a great
Sonic Odyssey.
Yeah. I just wanted to get one more dig in at Kevin because he's not here to yell at me.
Sonic Heir of the Wild. Frontier of the Wild.
Frontier of the Wild. Ah, man, I love it. No, Breath of the Odyssey. Sonic Breath of the Odyssey.
Sonic Emerald Z. Shadow the Hedgehog of the Colossus.
I gotta admit though, CB, I am genuinely surprised that I like Sonic Frontiers better than you do. I did not expect that.
I don't like it.
You sound like you do not like it as much.
I'm middle of the road because I haven't finished the game yet. Well, I hate the voice acting for Dr. Robotnik. Like, I despise it because it's so flat in its delivery. It's like, oh, look, I've done this before. Throw some emotion, man. Like, frickin' Amy's got more heart than you do.
That Chaos Emerald came from the moon.
I've done this before. Look, I am in a digital dimension. Wow, this is amazing. I'm Dr. Robotnik. Where is Sonic the Hedgehog? Oh, wow. Like that, to me, that's what that. Every other character, even the like little mumbling rock people, have more emotion.
The mumbling rock people have more emotion. That's pretty funny.
I'm like, but like I want my villain to be menacing, and I'm like, cool. I'm talking to a cardboard cutout.
Yeah, I imagine that's going to, ramp up as we get further into the game.
It's almost as bad as Peter Dinklage.
That's why I said
Destiny dialogue.
That's why I said that Chaos Emerald came from the moon. Did you not pick up on that line?
Yeah, I caught it. Yeah.
Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you.
I am tired, man.
I can tell.
I'm ranting.
Well, let's go ahead and move on. We got a couple other games to talk about. Alyssa, you have been playing a game called Beasts of Maravilla Island on PS5. This has Alyssa written all over it. Why don't you tell us about this game?
Okay, so I've already finished this game. I finished it in one sitting. And if you're looking just for a cozy, cute, easy to play game, this is the game for you. You play as I don't know if she's a teenager or in a young woman, but her name is Marina, and she is traveling to Maravilla Island because her grandfather had traveled there many, many years ago, and he never finished what he set out to do. So she takes his expedition journal, and the goal of the entire game is you're just photographing all the different animals and insects and flora and fauna of the island so you can raise awareness about the island and just let people know, hey, these things exist. We don't need to let them go extinct. So the majority of the gameplay just revolves around taking pictures. So if that sounds boring to you, this isn't going to be your game.
Pokemon Snap type of taking pictures?
Sort of. You're not graded on the pictures or anything, but you can take a horrible picture if you want to, and it'll be like, you took a picture of this. I mean, it could be obscured by a tree, but it still says, oh, you got a picture of a gecko.
Ah, okay.
So,
now, is this like a slice of life game, like that postal delivery game that Zach likes so much?
Lake.
It is actually by the same publisher, but I wouldn't say it's slice of life because there are some fantastical elements to it. There are 3 different areas in this game, and each area has its own weird hybrid animal. There's an otterdile, which is half otter, half crocodile. And my favorite was CB's face, guys. It's great. I wish you could see it. My favorites were the binkies, bird monkeys.
Oh, see, binky means something else to me.
Well, when I first saw that on screen, I'm like, that sounds like a pacifier or something to me.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
You say bird monkey, and my brain immediately goes to the Wizard of Oz.
They kind of do look like the Wizard of Oz monkeys, except they're much more colorful and less scary. But your objective,
to be hugged.
These unique animals, you have to get them in, I think, 5 different poses, and to do this, you have to sometimes whistle at them. Maybe you have to get a certain fruit that they enjoy eating, and they'll do something. It tells you in your grandfather's notebook how to get them to do this. It's not challenging. There are some puzzles, but they are very easy to figure out. They all involve the environment. Some of them you just have to take a photograph of a flower to make a platform appear. It's nothing that's gonna, no one's gonna get stuck on this.
Oh, okay.
So I do think it'd be a really good game to play either with your kids or have a kid play if they're wanting to play a game, because it's very simple, vibrant, colorful, cheerful. Nothing bad or scary happens.
You enjoying the story?
The story, there's not much of one, to be honest. It's just, you're just trying to raise awareness about this island and carry on your grandfather's legacy. And that's about all there is to the story. There's a little bit of voice acting at the beginning and end, and I have to say the voice acting is kind of atrocious, but It's only about 2 or 3 lines, so It's barely there. This took me a little under 2 hours to complete, and I got the majority of the trophies, so it's not a long game at all.
Okay.
So that could also deter some people, because it's going to take you 2 hours to do most of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the trophies I did miss were very specific things that if I would have looked at the trophy list, I could have accomplished, but I didn't beforehand. So if you're looking for an easy game, something that's, cheerful, something, you can play just to pass the time, Beast of Maravilla Island is very adorable and easy to just play and finish in a sitting. But if you're looking for something more challenging or something deeper, I would say this isn't the game for you.
Mm-hmm.
But just looking for a cute little game, I'd give it a shot.
All right. That is Beasts of Maravilla Island, and you are playing it on PS5.
Yes.
It sounds pretty good. So thank you for checking that out. We have one other review for you guys I want you to listen to. David Newman stopped by to talk to me about a game that he checked out for us called The Entropy Centre. I think it sounds super interesting. He may have sold me on it. I'm going to play that for you right now. Well, hello, Dr. Newman. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing yourself, Scott?
I'm doing okay, man. You're becoming quite a regular in terms of reviewing games for the Gaming Outsider. I appreciate the hard work that you're doing, man.
Thank you. Yeah, it's actually quite the pleasure just to be able to play these games and review them for you
Awesome.
guys.
Well, I got to tell you, man, I don't think I've ever been genuinely jealous of getting a review copy to somebody on our team than I was when I gave you a copy of the Entropy Centre, which to me looks like a Portal clone, and I wanted to play it so bad because I absolutely love Portal and Portal 2 so much. You have the unique situation where you've never played Portal before.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, I've never played Portal, and I need to rectify that.
Okay, so that makes me think that whatever the Entropy Centre is, it was good then, because I told you it looked like Portal, and you said, okay, well then I need to play Portal. So I'm excited to hear about this game. Can you tell everybody what it is? I know you can't really tell us if it is Portal since you've never played it, but what is this game from the ground up?
So in the similarity of Portal as far as listening, it's a puzzle-based game. Mm-hmm. And in similar fashion, also, you have a weapon that you are using to, solve these puzzles.
Okay, so it's not a weapon that's harming people. It's actually just kind of like what Portal is, where you have a portal gun, but it's not doing any damage to anybody or anything.
Yes, and actually, you are the only human that is in the Entropy Centre. You are in this place called the Entropy Centre that is outside of Earth.
Mm-hmm.
I do not want to I do not want to spoil too much, because part of the thing about the story is kind of the mystery and intrigue that surrounds it.
Mm-hmm.
But it just starts off with you waking up, finding this weapon, who has a name. It's Astra, and as far as I can tell, similar to Portal, she has very dry humor, a lot of different things like that.
So the weapon is sentient.
Yes, the weapon is sentient. It can speak. It has some nice little quips and everything. You might appreciate this being a cat person, but they have a couple of cat jokes that come in there.
All right, you just sold Alyssa on the game.
Exactly, yep. I was going to say Alyssa also would like that. But, so wake up and you don't know where you are really, and then it just tells you, like, hey, you got to start solving these puzzles to create energy. And you're like, or entropy, sorry. And then you're like, oh, I don't know what the heck I'm doing this for. But you keep doing it. And I wouldn't say that this is too spoilery, because it's revealed pretty early on. But, like, essentially you're creating entropy to rewind the Earth. Essentially.
Okay. So is that what the weapon does, or is that just the overall thing that you're trying to do in this game?
So this weapon actually only picks up like cubes and like volleyballs and stuff like that.
So it's like the gun. What was it? Half-Life that had the gravity gun.
Yeah, very similar to that. Except the other addition to it is you can rewind these objects as well.
Okay.
So you point the gun, you pick up the object, you move it to different places. The best way I can describe it is you have platform A and platform B. Platform A opens one door, platform B opens the end door. So what you'll do is you'll usually you'll put it on platform B first, turn it over to platform A, go through the one door, and then rewind that object back to platform B, and it opens the other door for you to get out.
That sounds very similar to Portal, which had you shoot two portals and then you would walk through one and then come out the other. Yeah. But in this case, it's not you physically doing it. You're manipulating objects within the world through time, so to speak.
I could definitely see that this game is very influenced by Portal, just from what I hear.
Okay. So how did you enjoy it? Was it fun? Was it a challenge?
I really enjoyed this game, and like I said, it makes me want to now go and play Portal. I need to rectify that and see just how similar these games are. At first, there are 15 acts in this game, which was a lot longer than I expected. I will say that it is a bit long.
How long? How many hours?
I would say 10 to 12.
Oh, that's not too bad.
It's not bad. It's just I just felt after a certain point you could have stopped at
Sure.
at some point.
Just to prepare you, Portal 2 is about the same length.
That's fine.
Now, the original is about maybe 3 or 4 hours, but but I don't know. I haven't played the Entropy Centre, so I can't speak to its quality, obviously. But Portal 2 is just so good from start to finish. There's not really any low points. Were there low points in the Entropy Centre where it just kind of dragged a little bit, or you just wish it were a shorter experience overall?
I think there's a certain after a certain section, I felt like they could have wrapped it up right there, but then you had about another couple hours or so that you had to go through, which at those points. So the nice thing about there's different puzzle areas, and each puzzle area usually brings in a new element. Either be a different type of cube or a different environmental thing that you can use. And that was pretty much happened through the first 12 puzzle areas, and then something happens, and then you have to go through a couple more puzzle areas, and they really didn't add too much after that. So it just kind of seemed like they just wanted to drag on a couple more hours to it, which was still fun. It was still was challenging. I would say it wasn't really challenging for the first 8 puzzle areas. It had its moments, but most of the puzzles from 1 through 8 I could solve in about less than 5 minutes. In which then after between from 9 to on, most of them took me 5 or more minutes, and sometimes it would take me 15 to 20.
Gotcha. Now you mentioned you weren't going to be spoilery with the story too much outside of, like you said, kind of turning the Earth backwards or something like that. But is the story satisfying? Is the intrigue enough to keep you going, even though you said that it was a little longer than you expected?
It is. Unfortunately, they don't answer kind of the big intrigue surrounding it. Essentially, why are you alone?
Okay.
They don't really answer that, and I'm sorry if that's spoilery for people, but they don't answer it.
Are there questions that you feel might be answered in a sequel, or is this a story that is wrapped up, one and done?
I would prefer this to be a one and done.
Oh, okay.
I would not mind a prequel.
Oh, okay.
The only problem is that with with calling it a prequel, it might actually be better as a movie or an animated show or some sort of show that actually brings it in, because I'm not sure what you would do as far as making it a prequel outside of essentially doing the same thing.
Oh, okay. So where do you land on it? Is this one you're recommending people check out?
Yes, with a caveat.
All right.
I will say that I can definitely get vibes of some sort of political agenda in a sense. On the spectrum of we need to take care of Earth and everything. So if you don't like politics in your game, I would say you probably might want to steer away from this. Otherwise, if you can get past that and just enjoy it for what it is, I would highly recommend this game.
Gotcha. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on Portal to see how that game comes out for you too. And also, there's another title called Cube, Qube, with periods in between each one. Kevin actually reviewed it for us on the show and gave it a 10 out of 10.
Wow.
It's the 10th anniversary edition, so that'd be another one I'd recommend you check out. And I do know that one's on PC as well. I know you've got access there too. So, well, anyway, David, thank you so much for stopping by, man. As always, it is a pleasure to talk to you, and thanks again for checking out the Entropy Centre, which, by the way, is developed by Stubby Games and was provided to us by Evolve PR. So thank you to those guys for giving us that opportunity. We really do appreciate it. David, thanks again, and I guess we'll talk to you next time.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, David. As always, great to hear from you. We got one more surprise for you right here. We actually, CB and I, sat down and talked to a guy by the name of Ron Kerbs, who is the CEO of a company called Kidas that does cybersecurity to protect kids while they're online gaming. I think this is a very important topic that is not getting addressed enough, and Ron and his team are definitely doing that. If you know some people that have kids that game, but they know very little about games and the things that can happen to them, I highly encourage you to direct them to this interview, because some really good, solid information and a possible outlet for them to make sure that their kids stay safe. We're going to play the interview for you right now. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for sticking around. We got some extra bonus content for you coming your way. I'm here with CB once again. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going? I'm here.
That was a good episode we just recorded.
Yeah.
we actually haven't recorded it yet, but we're speaking to you from the future. So we got a special guest here to talk to us a little bit about cybersecurity. It gives me great pleasure to welcome to the podcast Mr. Ron Kerbs, who is the CEO of a company called Kidas. Ron, how are you doing today, man?
I'm good. Coming talking with you from the future, I guess.
Yeah, I know. We got our time machine in. The DeLorean's parked right behind me. It's going to be a good day. So, Ron, I want to hear a little bit about your company. I know that you started it about 2.5 years ago. You are the CEO of Kidas. Can you tell us, before we get into a little bit about cybersecurity, what does Kidas do?
Yeah, so we started Kidas about 2.5 years ago, and we realized that gaming is fun and, good for kids, good for grown-ups, but there are some risks that are not dealt with in gaming, specifically in online multiplayer video games, things like scams, online predators, bullying. And we started Kidas to address those problems. So our technology monitors all of the interactions between the players within games like Fortnite, Roblox, Call of Duty, and more than 200 of the most popular games. And once we detect something that might put the players, specifically kids, in danger, we alert parents and also gaming companies about it.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds very cool. So like just to kind of get things started so people can understand, can you kind of explain specifically like what like cybercrime means? Because it's kind of like an all-encompassing term. So I mean, like, what is it specifically, and like who can it target?
Yeah, when we're talking about cybercrime, we're basically talking about each one of us. So it starts with a lot of financial crime. So people who are trying to steal, your credit card number, your social security number, and you're asking me like, I'm just playing a game. How can they steal, such information? But you would be surprised how many kids, just share their parent credit card number or their parent social security number because someone offered them V-Bucks for Fortnite, or offered them some points. Or some of them just, are getting some links, some phishing links, and they click those links. Once you click those links, basically the software is installed on your computer and it gets visibility to everything that is being done on the computer. So, for example, if you're playing PC games and you're sharing a computer with your family, with your parents, and the child click a link, basically the attacker can see now everything that is happening on the computer, including parents logging into their bank account, and parents, doing anything on social media, getting access to your, Game Pass password, getting access to anything basically that you're connected to. So basically,
now you're talking. Oh man, I don't want them to have that.
No,
yeah,
not at all.
Yeah, I have my bank account. That's fine, but my Game Pass, no way. No, I'm just kidding. Well, this is really good information, Ron, because I didn't tell you this before we started recording, but by day I am actually a 4th grade school teacher. So I feel like this is what you're doing, and the awareness that you're raising here is really good information for parents to know, because it sounds like this cybercrime that you're talking about is kind of like what we think of when we think of those people that call or send us emails saying they're like a Nigerian prince and they want us to wire money. But instead of it being over the phone or over email, there are kids and other people being targeted directly through video games, or with links right on their Xboxes or PCs or PlayStations. Are you finding that this is more of a domestic problem, or is this an international problem?
Yeah, it's a big domestic problem, but it's also a big international problem. So only frauds coming from gaming, like only the market for that is estimated in billions of dollars. So we're talking about millions of people who are going to be scammed every year, and billions of dollars that are going to be stolen from those people. It's a huge problem, and a lot of the big gaming companies, we're talking Microsoft, we're talking Sony, we're talking the big gaming studios, are trying to prevent those problems. But just up until recently, the technology wasn't there, and you needed to understand if someone is scamming someone or someone is just talking about something that is related to the game, and it was almost impossible to understand it. One of our unique abilities as part of our technology at Kidas is basically to connect to the gaming events and combine the communication between the players with the events that are happening within the game. So if someone telling you, I'm going to kill you, and you're playing Fortnite, we can understand that this person is not threatening you, you're just playing games. But if someone telling you something that is considered a threat or some related to a scam, and it's not completely not related to the game, we can understand it based on the events of the game and based on the communication before. We can also detect, and it's not just our technology. The technology is out there, and it's possible to detect, the person's age, emotion detection, and a lot of other things that helps our technology to understand if it's a legitimate conversation or, an online predator trying to talk with a child or maybe a scammer.
Okay. It's interesting that you talk primarily with kids, because I feel like my generation and CB's generation, we're so used to scams. We're so used to avoiding answering the phone when it's an unknown number because of call ID is just part of our everyday life. And we're also used to, like I said, the Nigerian scams or someone calling and saying, we want to update. We're trying. What's the line, CB? We've been trying to contact you about your
car's extended warranty.
Car's extended warranty. They've become almost jokes or memes with our generation. But I'm still finding that there are people of an older generation and now a younger generation that this is just happening way more than we realize. Is that kind of what's going on?
Yeah, it definitely is. I think it's an experience issue. So once you experience it enough time, you know when you're getting an email from a Nigerian prince or you inherited money, you know that it's a scam. But imagine a time that you saw it for the first time, none of your friends know anything about it, and you're starting to say, "Wow, it actually sounds good." So imagine a child that is, getting an advertisement, and you can buy, V-Bucks, the gaming currency for Fortnite, and I'm going to give you like 50% discount. So it sounds good. Just send me your parents' credit card. I'll charge them, and you won't have to buy it in the official site, but I'm going to give you a better price. It sounds good. And most of those kids don't really understand that, using the credit card number, you can actually charge their parents and do some other things. So we're talking about kids who are young. We're talking about kids who are 9, 10. And we're talking about kids who are still in the development stage that are not sure what is, personal and private information and what is information that can be shared. And we want to be, the first guiding tool to help them to understand what is, appropriate at gaming and what is not. And, once they reach, older ages, once they're 15, once they're 16, they don't need our program anymore. They have enough experience. They played with enough players, and we want to be there, right at the beginning. And we like to compare it to a car. When all of us started driving, like no one just told you, okay, here is the car, here are the keys, just go and drive. Someone sat next to you and guided you how to drive, and that's what we want to do. We want to be there for them when they start playing, and once they know how to do it safely, they don't need us anymore. But, most of the parents don't sit by their kids while they play. And they let them play, and they just hope that everything is going to be okay. And we believe that, there is a need for a software to guide kids and help parents to guide their kids on how to play those games safely.
So it's essentially almost like software training wheels that kind of start them down the correct path, and then you can kind of remove some of it as time goes on.
Yeah, exactly. So as kids grow, parents are getting less and less notifications. So when they're young, of course, they're getting more notifications. Every time something is happening, they're getting a notification. And once they get older, the limit is, the bar is a little bit higher. So something really dangerous has to happen for us to send a message to the parents. In the younger age range, we notify parents about a lot more things. So basically, according to the child's age and the child's experience with the game, we can personalize the recommendations that we're sending to parents, and we also guide parents on how to run those very difficult conversations with their kids. If your child, for example, is bullying someone in a game, sometimes they don't even know that it's hurting someone on the other side. And if you want to guide your child on how to behave properly online, sometimes parents don't even know how to do that. So we partnered with experts from CHOP, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and two psychologists, psychiatrists, and they help us to send recommendations to parents on how to deal with those conversations. What are the talking points? What are the things that you need to emphasize according to their developmental stage? So all of those things are things that we took into consideration when we built the product.
So is this software that a parent installs directly onto a console or onto a PC, or is this something that's like app based? How does this work?
Yeah, so we currently support PC devices only, and we also had a proof of concept for Xbox, but our main product is for PC. And you go to our website, you download it, we automatically connect to more than 200 games, everything that is installed on the computer, and then you start receiving alerts if something happens. We also send weekly reports to parents, just notifying them that everything is okay, the software is still running. And also provide some recommendations on some of the things that they can do with their kids, like new games that they can play with their kids, new tools, new platforms that they should be checking. Because we believe gaming is positive. We don't want it to be to become a negative thing. So if we detect something positive or something that we can recommend, and it's personalized for the kid and for the child, and the games that they're playing, we send it as well.
Oh, cool.
So I'm finding out that a lot of parents are not as tech savvy as I expect people to be in the modern age. So how well versed in technology will a parent need to be? Because a lot of kids know a lot more about technology and video games than their parents do. The parents are just like, here, play this game, or don't play it, or whatever. How difficult is it going to be for a parent to get into this software and do it?
Yeah, it's super easy. You just download the software, enter the email that you want to receive the alerts to, click next, and it installs it on the computer, and it's done. Very easy to use, and takes the average parent, less than two minutes to do that.
Okay. I kind of have something to piggyback off that real quick, because being the parent of 3 kids myself, two of which actively currently play games. So with the software, this is going to sound kind of weird, but is there kind of like how like easy is it for a child to say try to circumnavigate the software? Because I know sometimes kids are like, oh yeah, like I don't want my parents to find out that I screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we definitely took that into account. So we deal with that in 2 ways. So the first way is we built it with the password. So if you want to, uninstall the software, if you want to delete the software, if you want to stop the software, you need a password, and the parents are getting an email. And so we made sure that, you can only do it if you have a password. So that's one part of that. The other part is incentivizing the kids. So we basically don't want it to be, the cat and mouse game. We don't want them to try to find new ways to uninstall it. We want to incentivize them and explain them that, we're actually doing that for them. We're not spying on them. We're not sharing parents with, their private conversations, and we're not sharing information that they don't want us to share. We're only sharing information if something actually bad is happening, and their parents can protect them from the situation. So for that, we actually partnered with Overwolf. Overwolf is a pretty big gaming company that creates extensions for games and allows developers to create extensions. And once you install our software, you can basically get Overwolf extensions. So basically, by deleting our software, you're deleting the extension that you get as a gamer. And so you get basically some extensions and some perks for using our software.
That's really clever. I like it.
Very nice. And so like you started to mention in there as well. But I'm just trying to get an idea of like, okay, as parents myself, like what are some other good ways like to like not only to protect myself but my kids, because sometimes, like you said, like these kind of things can happen. Like you brought up that you do have some like talking points that are built in to explain to them. Like, is this like something that you receive like on a weekly basis, or is it like is it something that continues to grow as time goes on?
Yeah, we send parents, our system sends parents weekly reports, and every weekly report contains recommendations on what to do with their kids. So recommendations on new gaming trends, so what new games they can play with their kids, what new platforms they can recommend their kids to use. And we also send them articles about new scams that are happening. We talked about the Nigerian prince, but there are a lot of type of new scams happening in games. A lot of them involving, Bitcoin, or people claiming to use Bitcoin or cryptocurrency during using those games. They're not actually using that; they're just using it as an excuse to steal people's data. But we're informing parents about those situations. So even if everything is okay, and we hope that everything will be okay every week for most parents, they are still getting personalized content about what is happening to their kids, how much time they're playing, recommendations, and so on. And unfortunately, I don't like saying it, but unfortunately, 60% of the kids in the US will be bullied or harassed in video games before they turn 18. So it's not very rare. Most kids will suffer from the problem at some point, and usually it happens when they're a little bit in the younger age range. So usually when they're 11, 12, 13, 14.
Okay. Well, Ron, one of the reasons that I was very eager to talk to you is I like to educate the parents of my students, not only now but in the future, about just how serious cybercrime is. Not even just the bullying, but like you said, getting a hold of credit card information. I want to kind of give parents an idea of just how big a deal this is. How quickly can myself or these parents become a target of cybercrime? How easy is it for these guys, for these scammers to do these kinds of things to family?
Yeah, so basically they're not targeting specific person. So they're going on to these games and they're just starting to talk with kids. And some kids are clever and understand that those are scammers, and some kids are less experienced and they're falling. So they're basically talking with thousands of kids, and at some point they're getting to some kids who are naive enough to share their details with those people. And honestly, we're talking about naive kids in gaming, but we're just talking about the recent news. A lot of grown-ups were scammed in cryptocurrency and the crypto market. So you don't have to be naive and unexperienced to be scammed. Like at some point, all of us would be scammed, and we just want to make sure that it doesn't happen to those kids, and we want to make sure that they are learning how to defend themselves from those cases.
That's a great point. I mean, you did bring up like the Bitcoin thing and the fact that the crypto is being talked about very heavily with like the FTX fallout that's been going on. So I know, like, we know the Nigerian prince one and like some of the other scams, but I mean, is there some other ones that you could bring to light for parents? I mean, because like as technology continues to evolve, there's a lot of the new different ways of like getting at kids. Because I believe me, my older son, he's 14, and I've seen him get cyberbullied multiple times online. But there's like different types of like phishing scams and everything. Like, are there any new ones that like people should be keeping an eye out for?
Yeah, I think for sure there are a few, and I mentioned the gift cards, the V-Bucks, the Robux gift card. Another one that we see a lot is auto clickers. So for those of you who don't know, auto clickers are tools that are used by kids in order to cheat in some of those games to get more points. Basically, a tool that runs in the background of your computer, clicks the mouse for you in order for you to get points in repetitive games. And in some of those cases, people are advertising, I created a new type of auto clicker. If you use it, it's way more faster. And the games would not detect it because a lot of the games are trying to detect those auto clickers and basically ban or block those players. I have a new auto clicker. It's 100%. You're not gonna for 100%. You're not gonna be detected. Use my auto clicker, and then you download it, and it basically steals your detail. It steals your password. It steals some of the other things. So auto clickers is already a thing that people are talking about, but it's not really out there because it's considered cheating in a lot of places. So people don't like talking about it, and usually those scammers are using things that are not. People don't like admit that they're doing in order to steal people's information. Another thing that we've seen a lot is basically using kids to share some semi-private information about their family or maybe about themselves, and then extorting them to share more and more information. So, for example, sharing their work schedule, their parents' work schedule. When is your mom coming back from work? And then the kid says 5 p.m. or something like that. And then the attacker uses that in order to say, your mom would be angry for you telling me that, like a random stranger online. If you won't share, another detail, I'll call your mom and tell her that you said that. And then the child shares something else. And then the attacker uses that again in order to get more and more information until they're getting to credit card numbers. Sometimes they're asking for nude pictures, and kids are embarrassed to admit admit that they're sharing the information and the data, and especially they're embarrassed to talk about it with their parents. And we want to be there for kids and parents to these are hard conversations, but if we can facilitate those conversations, if we can recommend how to run those conversations, how to talk about it, how to protect themselves, I think we can make gaming way safer for everyone. And especially if those scammers and online predators know that most of the kids out there have Kidas installed, they'll stop doing those things.
Very interesting.
Cool.
I feel like I'm learning so much. The things I didn't even think about. I didn't even consider the auto clickers like you're talking about, because I know my students are obsessed with this game called Cookie Clicker, where they just go in and they keep clicking a cookie and they just keep earning all this stuff. And yeah, you download a link or click on this link and it'll click for you while you're away, so you earn all this stuff. And wow, yeah, that's really scary. It's kind of crazy where we are in the world. One thing I want you to kind of hit on again, just because, again, I'm trying to educate families, is I think a lot of people assume that cybercrime happens primarily, or some people even think solely, on PC, on a computer. But from what it sounds like, this kind of stuff is happening on consoles, on Xbox and PlayStation and even Switch possibly as well. Am I correct in assuming that, or how big of a problem is it on console?
Yeah, you're completely correct. So basically, everywhere where there is voice communication, text communication, unmonitored voice and text communication, we're going to have scammers, we're going to have bullies. And unfortunately, all of the communication platforms, when we're talking about Sony PlayStation, we're talking about Xbox Live, they're not monitored. So, if some people report scams or if they report situations, sometimes they have the recording and they check it, but they don't have 100% coverage. And that's what our technology is offering. We're offering 100% coverage. So if you use our platform, we analyze everything, and you can be sure that we're going to alert you if something is happening.
Okay.
One other thing I want to ask, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but it's a genuine question that I know a lot of parents are going to ask, is we obviously don't want to trust cyber criminals. how is a parent that has never heard of you or heard of Kidas going to know that what you are sending them or what they're downloading is safe for their computer and it actually is a protection thing? Because it is a relatively new company, 2.5 years old. It's not a household name. How do they know that that it is legit and they can trust Kidas?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I would ask the same question as well. So first of all, I want parents to know that we're certified by the Better Business Bureau. So someone is monitoring us. All of our website and our technology is also protected. We have the Northern certification for having everything protected. But we also partnered with some really big household names. So some of our partners include Intel and Comcast, and companies that everyone knows, and they checked us. And we're also supported by the U.S. government. So we received the U.S. government grant, and they checked everything to make sure that we're okay and we're performing as we should be performing. So we're a young startup. And that's a legitimate question, and we're doing everything to make sure that we're not sharing information, kids' private information. We basically compatible with all of the U.S. privacy laws, the COPPA, the Children Online Privacy Protection Act, CCPA, the California Consumer Privacy Act, and we're making sure that everything is protected and secured. But that's a really good question, and I'm happy that you asked that.
Very cool.
All right, go ahead, Chris.
I had something. So I was actually going through the list of different things that you guys monitor with your technology, and one of the big ones that I noticed for me is Discord, because my son uses Discord, and the fact that Discord has like the private servers that kids can create and everything and kind of hide in. I saw that's in there because I have to use a similar program for his phone to monitor. So like the fact that there's another program that I could be using for his computer and hopefully in the future console, like your product like genuinely interests me, because things like that are super hard to monitor. So I applaud you for being able to do this.
Yeah, thank you very much. And it all started with a real case. So the reason that we started this company is because I was in Philadelphia. I was in grad school, and I saw a news article about a girl who was sexually assaulted by someone she met online, and I was like, how come we don't have a solution for that? Like, we're in 2020, it was 2020 back then. How come we don't have a solution for that? How come we still cannot monitor, voice chats? Like, there's got to be a solution. And I started talking with the big companies and researching about it, and I understood that none of the big companies have a solution for that. So I decided to create one. And the same thing that you're telling me I've heard from so many parents out there.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Well, tell us where can I direct people to learn more about Kidas, and what kind of cost is associated with how much are we looking at for a cost to consumers?
Yeah, so people can check us out at getkidas.com, our website. We're also on LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. If you want to check us out, Kidas. We're talking about $6 a month, basically less than the price that you're paying for Netflix to make sure that your kids are protected.
Very cool. I want to make sure that those listening know how to spell it. It is actually spelled Kidas, Kidas. And you said the website is getkidas.com?
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. So, yeah, $6 a month seems like like that's less than a Starbucks. One Starbucks a month.
Being a parent myself, I can openly say, $6 is worth it, especially because all it's going to take is one time to get hit, and you can get absolutely ruined.
Well, not only that, but I mean, just the other kind of predatory stuff out there that he was talking about, where I got a little freaked out when Ron mentioned they're convincing kids to send them nude pictures of themselves. That just makes my skin crawl.
I can openly say the monitoring program that we have on my older son's phone, we've seen some of that where you'll get randomly generated things and they'll be like, oh, click here, or send us a picture of yourself, because it's not always just like a nude picture. Sometimes it's even just a picture of their face.
Yeah, that's scary stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Ron, thank you so much for stopping by to talk about this. I think that this topic is very important, and I want to thank you, for recognizing the need and doing something about it. I think it's really cool that families and especially parents have a place that they can go that is trusted, supported by the government, all these huge partners for such a low cost. It just seems like a no-brainer. It seems like something that should be in every household, and I wish you all the best, and I hope that more people take advantage of it, because it sounds something very, very important.
Thank you very much for having me here. And if I may say just, final sentence, I know that we've been talking a lot about, the risks of gaming, but I don't want parents who hear this talk to think that, gaming is not appropriate for kids. Like, let your kids play. There are a lot of great benefits of playing, and just make sure that they do it in a safe and secure way.
That's so important. That's so powerful, because obviously we're fans of games. I use my love of gaming in my classroom with my kids to try to connect with them. They hear a 42-year-old guy loves to play Mario just as much as they do. They geek out a little bit, so that's a lot of fun. But yeah, I definitely want to just echo that. Just because there are bad things out there doesn't mean that you should just give up on video games, because there are a lot of positive things behind it. There's communication skills, there's dexterity skills, there's collaboration, coordination. Like it's a very very
skills.
Good skill. What's that?
Problem solving skills.
Executive functioning. That's the buzzword we use around my school. So, well, Ron, before we let you go, we didn't really get to talk too much about actual gaming. So I assume that you're a gamer yourself. Since you are heading up this company, what are you into lately, or have you had time in the last 2.5 years to play anything?
Yeah, unfortunately, I am an avid gamer. I like playing a lot. Mainly, I've been playing PC games and Sony PlayStation games. Unfortunately, in the last few years, because of starting the company, I don't have a lot of time to play. When I do have time to play, I think FIFA would be my go-to game.
All right.
Also, pretty big fan of Age of Empires. Play that as well. Growing up, and I think Grand Theft Auto, is a classic that I always enjoy coming back to. So I would say these are my 3 most popular games. I would say favorite games.
It's a very, very nice broad spectrum too.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, Ron Kerbs, it was a pleasure to speak with you, man. Like I said earlier, I wish you all the best. I hope that this is successful, because I think this is very important what you're doing. And CB, thank you so much for stopping by to chat with us as well. And it was a pleasure to talk with you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
That was awesome. Thank you so much again for Ron for stopping by to talk to us. It was really good to chat with him. Before we move on to our topic, I want to remind everybody about our social media outlets, facebook.com/groups/the GoCast. We've got an awesome community of people over there keeping up with the news and all the episodes and fun memes and discussions. Also, our Discord server is live and thriving. There is a link for that in the show notes of this very episode. Please come join us and join in those conversations. Also, drop us a review if you get a chance. We will read those reviews on our podcast as a thank you for helping us out. We really do appreciate it. And lastly, our website is thegamingoutsider.com. There you'll find all of our episodes, as well as all of our written content when we do get that published. And we've got quite a few reviews coming out this week, so stay tuned for that. Let's go ahead now and jump into our From the Outside In topic. You already heard us talk at length about God of War Ragnarok, but CB actually thought it would be fun to talk about other games based on different mythologies. So we're going to start talking about our favorites that already exist before we get into the ones that we would like to see. And since CB has a time portal and has seemingly read every book based on every mythology ever, I'm going to start this week because I haven't. And I'm pretty certain I won't have any selections left if I let him go first. So I'm going first this week. So
be that way.
I apologize, Alyssa, if I take some from yours, but I don't know a lot about mythology at all. So I actually had to do some digging. Yeah. I had to do some digging and learned that some of my games actually are based on mythology. So one that sticks out for me, I mean, Castlevania is based on mythology, right?
I would
Dracula?
say so.
Kind of.
I mean, yeah, Dracula is a...
I would say cryptozoology is mythology.
Yeah, I would say that's more like cryptozoology, cryptid, and supernatural.
Okay.
But, I mean, I still count it as mythology.
It might be cheating. It's not. But you're skirting the edge.
Okay.
I give it props.
I added this one, and I feel bad saying this because I didn't finish the game, but Witcher 3 World Hunt. I didn't know that... Wild Hunt, excuse me. Can't read my own typing. Wild Hunt. I didn't know that Wild Hunt was a Norse mythology thing. I had no idea. So I thought that was pretty cool. What else we got here? Darksiders. That's the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, right? Is that considered myth?
Again, skirting, but I'll allow it.
All right. And the Binding of Isaac, if you consider the Bible mythology.
I mean,
some people,
yeah. I'm not saying that to make anybody angry, but some people consider that kind of literature mythology, and the Binding of Isaac is based on Isaac. If you know the story from the Bible, God instructed Abraham to murder his own son to prove that he loved him. And
well, I mean, it's not only that, but there's other characters.
Oh yeah, for sure. Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris, which that game, by the way, is super underrated.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I think that game is super fun. It's a co-op game, not a traditional Tomb Raider game. You know, you're kind of doing this isometric dungeon crawly thing, but you're doing co-op things, and based on mythology. Dante's Inferno is on my list. Never read the Divine Comedy, but I know of it, and that game. Didn't you guys do a Patreon episode on Dante's Inferno?
You can borrow my copy if you want.
I've played it. I've beat it.
No. My copy of the Divine Comedy.
I'm not going to actually read it. Is there an audiobook version of the?
Yes, there is.
I was going to say
most of it's free because it's public domain.
Oh, really? Okay. That would be. Is it a long read?
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. I've never read it, but I've seen it.
Well, it's the Divine Comedy because it's 3 books.
Yeah, 3 books.
Is it hard to read? Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not.
But there's some good English translations because it's Dante's Inferno, Purgatorio, Paradiso.
Right. All right, and my last one is one I'm cheating on because I've never actually played the game, but Dragon's Crown I read is actually based on mythology, and that game I love the artwork in that game, just like even the cover box art. I remember I was actually working at a game store. I was working at TNT when that game came out, and I wanted to play that game based solely on the box art alone because I think it just looks amazing. Maybe CB can clue us in on which mythology that's based on, but I don't know.
Dragon's Crown?
Yeah. No?
I'm not super familiar with the game, but I'm sure I'll figure it out.
It's a beat 'em up, but more fantastical, like fantasy. So that is my list, and I'm going to let Alyssa go next because, CB's going to have some weird, obscure mythologies that neither of us have ever heard of. So go ahead, Alyssa.
Well, I've got a very short list as well because even though I find mythology very fascinating, I'm not very knowledgeable about it. I'm more knowledgeable about cryptozoology, which I'm kind of including. But like you, I was going to say Dante's Inferno.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fascinating game, and yeah, I would like to read it as well, but the length and the difficulty of the, just the writing kind of deters me. I was going to say The Witcher 2 because I do prefer that story over The Witcher 3. That might be an unpopular opinion. But I do really like The Witcher 2. Say Assassin of Kings?
Yes.
Yes.
I do prefer that story over Witcher 3.
And it wasn't as long.
It wasn't, no. It was tough, but it was not as long. Also, going with the cryptozoology theme, Vampire, it's not a perfect game, but it adhered to several of the vampire mythos, not everything.
I would actually say it's probably like with like the mythos and the tropes of vampires. I think it's one of the better entries.
It's one of the most accurate, I think.
Yes.
That's pretty much it. I was kind of just.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guess what? You guys didn't hit any of mine.
Oh, really?
Okay.
All right.
Which is surprising. Because
Why?
there's a few of these games in here that you love.
Okay, so I just didn't know that they were based on mythology.
Hades.
I didn't love Hades as much as you guys.
I've never played it, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
Be Still My Heart. I love Hades because, again, like, you have a wonderful pantheon.
I need to revisit.
Zeus.
Is that still on Xbox on Game Pass?
No, they took it off.
Took it off. But guess what? I bought it.
On Xbox?
Because I love that game.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so that one. Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice.
Gosh darn
it. I saw that one and I didn't again, I put games I didn't beat, but that was one I assumed you were gonna put on your list because I know you like that game way better than I do.
Oh, I do.
I love that game, and
also,
it didn't even enter my brain.
But it's also such a blending because it's actually a blending of two different mythologies.
Oh, really?
So it's a blending of Norse and Celtic.
Ah, okay.
Because Senua is actually a Pict, Pict.
Mm-hmm.
So she is of Scottish descent.
Ah.
So I was like, that it's a very unique blending of two different mythologies because, I mean, like, I can't remember if I remember correctly. At some point in time, the game, like, the Morgana is mentioned, which is like a Celtic raven goddess.
Okay.
Which I think is awesome. All the newer Assassin's Creed games. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which you have your Greek pantheon. You have Origins, which is your Egyptian pantheon. If you can't tell, I really love mythology.
I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, believe me, they're there. Raji.
Oh, I never played that.
Yeah, I didn't play that one either.
Scott, you really need to do yourself because that is a phenomenal platformer.
Okay.
So, and you're getting into like Indian mythology. Kid Icarus.
Oh my God, why didn't I think of Kid Icarus? I played the hell out of that game when I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean that is like one of the big ones.
Icarus fights Medusa angels. That was the password to be able to get to the final boss. Yeah.
Okami.
Yeah, that I saw that one and I was like, I haven't played that one at all.
I
and I don't know why
either, and I need to.
Yeah, it's on Xbox.
Okami actually stands for Great Spirit, which is Japanese in Japanese mythology. Which, by the way, if you want to read like a phenomenal like mythology creation story, like look into the like into Shinto. Like it is such a beautiful like creation story into mythology. Like you have like the sun and the moon. Like it's just a interesting take.
Nice.
God, Jotun. I remember always seeing that game. Obviously, Norse.
I don't know what that game is.
I'm trying to remember it. Like, it's old. Like, it's just Jotun.
Yeah, I can see it. I assumed it was.
Yeah, like I'm actually suddenly drawing a blank on that one. But there's one more that is kind of an interesting twist between cryptozoology and mythology. Until Dawn.
Oh yeah, the Wendigos.
Yeah, Wendigos. Okay. Because that is Native American mythology blended with. I should
have thought of that.
Cryptozoology.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
So just.
That was such a great one and done game for me, by the way.
It was. And then of course, like we also have Smite.
Never played Smite.
I haven't either.
Fun MOBA.
I was gonna say it's MOBA, so I'm off.
it's a fun MOBA, but also like almost every character up until like the past couple of years was all different pantheons of gods, and like including like Quetzalcoatl, the Aztec winged serpent god.
Your knowledge of all this stuff just continues to baffle me. You and I had a conversation about God of War Ragnarok on the phone the other day because I have questions because I don't know anything about Norse mythology. And so I had questions, and you're rattling off all these names of stuff that I haven't even seen in the games and all this stuff that you've read. Like, how do you, your knowledge is impressive, sir.
I suffer from like, basically, like if you put something in front of me and I can read it or I hear it, I can't forget it.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm also very, very good with numbers.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So, are you out?
But for most of the mainstays, I mean, I'm more interested in what like could be.
Okay, well let's do that. What stories based on mythology that we've not seen yet that you'd like to see brought to consoles or PC? Alyssa, I'll let you go first this time.
Again, I'm kind of skirting around, but I'd like to see more games that feature cryptozoology, like quality games. Like, wouldn't it be cool to have a Mothman game? I know one came out recently that was kind of a visual novel, but one you could actually play that covers the bridge incident and, you know, just, that would be so cool. Or, you know, have a Bigfoot game. Just, I don't know what you'd do. Maybe you could be Bigfoot Simulator.
The Bigfoot Simulator, but you are trying to avoid humans.
Yes. Do not be caught by the humans.
There was a Bigfoot game on NES. He had four big wheels, and he would crush cars.
Oh my god, you're such an idiot. I was like, as the moment you said that, like my brain immediately went to that game. I'm like,
I saw the wheels turning in CB's head because he has every
why
NES
are you
game.
talking about this game?
He's like, why? There's a Bigfoot game? I didn't know it. Yeah, it was the monster truck.
It wasn't that. It was more like, I'm like, why would you bring up that?
Because it was funny.
Oh, some days I just want to smack you in the mouth with a golf club.
Oh,
wow!
I would also like to see some games that feature Japanese mythology. More of those, please. I know Ghostwire Tokyo featured some urban legends from Japan. I haven't played that yet, but I think it'd just be cool to have more games focused on Japanese mythology because it's very interesting, and I want to know more about it. And just, I guess, more games that feature maybe urban legends, which goes more into cryptozoology. I need to just brush up on my Norse mythology, Greek mythology, so I can know more and be more educated. But
I'm with you.
I can give you some extended reading.
My only exposure to Norse mythology outside of God of War and the MCU is Neil Gaiman. I read Norse mythology.
I haven't read that, but I love Neil Gaiman.
You know what? Don't even read it. Don't read
Audiobook.
it. Audiobook.
I can't
do
audiobooks. I just can't.
What? Really?
It just doesn't stay with me the way it does when I read.
I don't know.
Hang on. I will tell you, the way this is read,
yeah,
just it's because it's not like traditional, like I'm reading words. It's actually acted out. So it's like listening to an audio performance.
But it's all one guy. It's all it's Neil Gaiman narrating it himself. And his voice.
I will loan you my Spotify and my Audible password so you can listen to like a little snippet of it.
Okay.
Because it is fascinating the way he does it.
Yeah, it's really good. He does a really good job. I really like that a lot. All right. Do you have any others, Alyssa?
That's it for me.
All right.
Go ahead, Scott.
All right. Again, I don't say this. I hope nobody's offended by me saying this, but I would love to see more video games based on biblical stories.
We do have an I Am Jesus game coming out.
Do we really?
Yes, there is.
I'm talking like an open world, you know, like a triple A game, or like I would like Assassin's Creed to go into the biblical realm. I think that would just be so fascinating. Just because, you know, I grew up with those stories. They were, you know, just growing up in a religious environment in church and school. I know many of them like the back of my hand. I studied a little bit of theology in college, and I think you could have some fun with some creative liberties, but I also understand the problem of making a subset of people pretty angry if you do that and do it in a way that makes it seem either inappropriate or offensive. That's not my goal with this.
No, well, see, here's the thing though. Like when like the Passion of the Christ came out, like the movie was huge.
Well,
so
because
I know where you're going with it because of who was attached to it. But
right.
I think if the right studio picked it up, it could actually be a fairly fascinating game.
Right. And I mean, you see what God of War is doing in terms of creative liberties, with what they're doing with Norse mythology. Because again, after talking to you and Zach about, what some of these characters are supposed to be doing and what they're doing differently with the game, is interesting. I would love to see somebody's take on something like that, but I don't want it to be something that's going to make people angry, like I'm sure Binding of Isaac did. You know what I mean? That's not my goal with this, something like this.
The problem is, I think, depending on who makes the game and how it's made, I think you have the wrong idea of who's going to be mad.
Really?
I think the church is going to be more pissed than anything.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm not suggesting something like this to make that side of our country or the world angry. I'm not trying to make anybody angry. I just think that there are some interesting stories that you could do something with.
Yeah.
I mean, you could even have like remember, this is a really poor example, but Bible Adventures on the NES, which had David and Goliath, and it had Noah's Ark, and it had all these games. You could even have a collection of shorter stories, maybe, but just done with a bigger budget that are, I don't know. But I want the bigger budget. I want the bigger budget, like just one story taken in a crazy direction, giving the God of War treatment, what they're doing with Norse mythology, with things that happen in the Bible. I think would be really interesting. If nothing else, it would spark interesting conversation. So that's my first thought.
Yeah, no, I think you're onto something. I think the bigger hill you're going to climb is what studio is going to want to touch it.
It's true.
Because that's immediate controversy.
Yeah, I know. But so was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 back in the day. And
different kind of controversy.
I understand, but there were people that were legitimately like, I don't know if I'm going to play this game because of some, this one 5-minute section in the game where you had the option to do something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But everybody played it because everybody talked about it. There's no such thing as bad press when it comes to something like this, right? Look at Bayonetta 3. I haven't seen the sales numbers of that game, but I've seen a lot of people playing that game. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that that's probably going to be the best-selling Bayonetta game because of the controversy surrounding it. So you make a game that is going to get people talking about it and cause controversy, I think it will sell.
Which blows my mind because we have games out there about like Greek mythology, like Greek gods, like a wide swath of the world at one point in time believed in these gods.
Mm-hmm.
And we openly throw their names around and make games with them and put them in certain types of light. Like there are still people that like worship Zeus to this day.
Right.
And it's not as controversial.
Yep. Christianity gets a little bit touchier for multiple reasons that we won't get into because we don't talk about religion and politics and that kind of stuff on this show.
We're kind of talking about religion, but in the sense of like, but I get where you're going with it. Like,
no, and I actually hesitated even bringing it up because I figured it was controversial to even suggest it because there are people that are be like, how dare you say that the Bible is a myth? I'm not here to argue whether or not it's a myth or whether it's not or whether it's real. That's not my. I just think that there are some good stories in the Bible, whether you believe it or whether you don't. I think there's some genuinely interesting stories that could do some interesting things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My next one on my list, Pandora's Box. which
oh my god, please give me a Pandora's Box game.
Right? Like that. Like to me, Pandora's Box has become synonymous with trouble. You know, just like we actually say it. Oh, I've opened Pandora's Box when I did something that caused a chain link of events. But if you actually go back and read the story, let's make a game out of that. That would be pretty cool.
You play as Hope, tracking down the people that have escaped Pandora's prison.
And you've got the name already there. Like, you don't even have to just call it Pandora's Box or the quest for, I don't know. My last one is a little ambiguous, but I want a game, and I've almost got a pitch idea for this, where I want there to be a game where these scientists are going out and they are studying weather patterns, and they're studying hurricanes, and they're studying lightning and thunderstorms and tornadoes, and they're on this mission to not mission, it's not the right word, but they're on this quest or expedition to learn more about weather. And they stumble across something and realize that, all this is actually caused by mythological creatures or beings. That's what a lot of myths are, right? Is explanations for why the world works the way it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I want it to be a game that isn't sold that way. It's just sold as, hey, this is these guys that are studying the weather, and you kind of start this story-based mission, and then they uncover some supernatural thing, and they learn that, hey, the lightning is actually the gods playing bowling up in the sky, or something ridiculous like that. You know what I mean? Like, I just want it to be like them discovering that these ancient Norse or Greek or whatever gods actually do exist. And then it's like this, because we have those moments in things like Marvel, you know what I mean? Or just all kinds of movies where like we this mythological thing that nobody think exists, and then a kid stumbles across this thing and discovers that, oh, they actually are real, and we get to meet these characters on the screen. I think that would be cool in a video game, but I want it based on weather. I want them chasing weather and learning and studying weather, and then it opens up Pandora's Box. Maybe we should bring these two together.
Maybe.
I don't know. I just like that idea because I feel like we don't get enough of those kinds of stories in games, where something, kid reads a comic book and then discovers that a comic book character actually is real. You know what I mean? Or something like that.
That like lifting the veil moment.
Yeah. We don't get enough of those lifting the veil and surprise moments. Like, this is a weird example, but the surprise twist in Last of Us Part 2, we don't get enough of moments like that completely change the game that you were playing in a way that nobody saw coming. Or it wasn't as fun, but Metal Gear Solid 2. You get like a few hours in that game, and you're playing as a
more They Live moments.
Yes.
Where you put on the glasses, and all of a sudden you're like, oh!
Yeah, exactly. Okay, CB.
Oh, man. So where do I would love them to delve into some of the other like pantheons out there, like that aren't really touched.
Yeah.
I would love like Sumerian and the story of the seven heavens.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't either, but I'm interested.
So essentially there's like 7 domes that like each one of the domes is a different precious stone or metal. And inside those, like each area is like a different world, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the different gods and beings and heroes live in these kind of things.
Sure.
I would love a deeper dive into Egyptian pantheon.
All right. We got that in Origins a little bit, right?
They did, but I would love to play as some of the gods.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you want to play as the gods?
I think it would be fun.
Yeah.
Especially like, that like how Osiris is killed by his son, and like just like the sort. Oh God, what was that terrible movie with Russell Crowe and Ben Kingsley? The Egyptian, like they played the Egyptian gods.
I am drawing a complete blank.
Is it newer or older?
Was that the Release the Kraken one?
No, that's Greek.
Okay.
No, we're basically like they're the gods and they're like taller than people, but they like morph into their Egyptian forms and they're like covered in gold.
It's not Gods of Egypt, right? Is it?
No, that's that stupid movie.
Is that
that's
it?
The one. Yes. It's like
I didn't remember.
It was terrible.
I've never actually seen that movie, so that's why
not Russell Crowe. Gerard Butler.
Yeah, Gerard Butler. Because I also remember the guy that played Jaime Lannister, Nikolai Coster-Waldau, is in that as well.
He plays Ra.
But I've never seen the movie because I heard it was terrible.
It's awful. It is a turd.
There's no such thing as a bad movie, man.
Oh no, yes there is.
Just movies that aren't for you.
The Room.
That was fun to watch.
I love watching The Room with people that have never seen it before.
That's so bad.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa. I did not.
But I mean, you could get into some of the darker pantheons, like
hi,
Irish
Mark.
pantheon.
I didn't catch that.
You opened Pandora's box, man.
I know. That's the problem. But like we've always gotten like a little taste of it in certain games and series, like Assassin's Creed. Like if you played through and you got like that one ending, you know the one I'm talking about, Scott. Because we talked about it at length. Like I would love to see like more like where the games about like Native American mythology.
And I know very little about that as well.
And see like where a lot like everything has like a spirit and a soul and like why things are caused the way. Like I think your weather game would make a better Native American mythology game.
Oh, okay.
I can see that, yeah.
Or even like any of the like Central American, like Aztec or Incan, like that.
But I want my weather story to be like based in the present. You know what I mean? Like it starts in the present.
I think that'd be. I would think that would be absolutely like an astonishing way to tell a story.
Or even I mean, it could even be like the 90s. Like, you know, we have so many games set in the 80s.
Oh man,
let's have one set back in the 90s, like Twister era. Like, yeah.
See, that's the problem. It's like there's so many of these great ideas, but I feel that there's just no company that wants to take that leap.
Yeah. Well, nobody wants to take chances anymore.
Well, that's the problem is we fall back on the same tropes. It's like, vampires. Oh, cool. We did vampires last year, so we're gonna do zombies this year.
Yeah.
Oh, we've done vampires and zombies now. Cool. Let's do werewolves.
Yep.
And I'm like, let's stop with the same rhetoric and attempt something new.
Yeah.
I'm like, we have thousands of years of human culture and civilization. Like that's what mythologies are these grand stories.
Yeah.
But
there's so much untapped resources there. Like I would imagine.
Yeah. I mean, we have so many like dark, cool stories that could be told. I still there was the Alice in Wonderland game. Again, American McGee's
Madness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it was like a dark version story. Like I would love the Grimm Brothers versions.
Oh, okay.
Like
the actual stories.
Yeah, like give me the dark version.
Because aren't those like stories like original, like just completely twisted compared to like what Disney did with them?
Oh, like or like Cinderella's sisters, like to fit their feet in the glass slipper with like cutting off their heels.
Yeah.
Or like it just because almost all those end horribly.
They do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially the version of like the Little Mermaid. Ooh.
Yeah.
You want to read a dark ending? There you go.
Because
that's just what I like, man. I like the dark stories, the mythology, like why things.
How does that end?
These.
How does Little Mermaid end in the original?
Not suitable for children.
Oh, so we should talk about it off air?
Yes.
All right. You got any more, or can we go on to community responses?
No, we can go on to community responses, man. Let the people tell me the thing.
All right. I'm going to start over on Facebook with a response from Sean Coates. He says, I'm pretty sure that any Indiana Jones games fits this criteria, as they all have him finding an artifact, usually of the theological variety, with a supernatural flavor to them. So I suppose this is the perfect opportunity to shout out one I really enjoyed, Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb on PS2 and Xbox. Did we play that one for Patreon? Or did we?
No,
not that one. Let's see. In this adventure, Jones is out to look for the Heart of the Dragon, which is a black pearl object said to be buried in the tomb of China's first emperor. Along the way, you're out to find pieces of the Mirror of Dreams, a supernatural device that can be used to navigate the tomb and has a mythical curse attached to it. It's good stuff, and you should totally play it if you haven't. And if you have, then play it again.
I would love a remaster of that game.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
especially anything with the first Emperor's Tomb, because that's a weird story in itself. Like the fact that we still haven't opened it,
right?
Because of the amount of like mercury.
Oh, is that true? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh.
Like we still haven't opened that thing because people like mythology and like people are afraid of like true curses and.
So what they packed it with mercury?
There's like supposedly like thousands of gallons of mercury.
Did they put it there intentionally, like as a deterrent?
Oh yeah, so I have to remember at the time mercury was used as a curative. People used to take mercury thinking it would cure diseases too.
Isn't it like super toxic and volatile?
It'll kill you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it cured it in one way.
Yeah, it made the voices go away.
Alyssa, you're up next.
Yeah, go ahead.
Chip Halt writes, I know it's low-hanging fruit, but for me, it's the 2018 God of War. I have the new one locked and loaded. I love the gameplay, story, look, and music. As for what might be intriguing material for a new game, how about Native American mythology? I can't think of a game that really delves into that, and all the different nations give plenty of diversity for story beats. Thanks for what you guys do.
Oh, thanks, Chip.
Thank you, Chip.
If I remember correctly, Chip, thank you. Also, the first Prey delved a little bit into Native American mythology.
Did it get into because there was a bunch of like spirit realm, like when you died, you would go into the spirit world or something, and then you have to find your way back to the real world. I love that.
If I remember correctly, it's been a hot minute since
it's been a while.
That was like launch Xbox 360, wasn't it? Like or near the launch.
Yeah.
That was, but I really enjoyed that game. Looking back on it now, I can understand how some people would be offended by it. Wasn't the character's name Tommy Hawk?
It was something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was.
Oh yeah, which is why that's why I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure because Tomahawk.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah, but Tommy Hawk and
wasn't he
I remember
like
seeing like an eagle or a hawk in the spirit realm too.
Well, not only that, but also the game opened with you like on an Indian reservation casino. Like I remember when the aliens showed up, like there was like, you know, slot machines and stuff exploding or whatever.
God,
and I was like,
that game was so different than the other Prey.
Oh, it wasn't even the same type of game at all.
Oh yeah, completely different.
No.
So, good call, CB. You're up.
Mark Szymanski, I think something Native American would be awesome. You could surround it in an Old West vibe like Red Dead Redemption. He puts RDR. I'm like, Red Dead Redemption or Red Dead Revolver?
Yeah.
But then utilize the creatures of that mythology. They have quite a few, one for every landscape, location, even water. You can start the character off as a young adult and give the game publisher the piece that they all seem to love, a skill tree. A literal skill tree.
Oh, that actually would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
But see, that's a crazy thing about Native American mythology, because depending on like where, like which tribes you're talking about, things change. Especially like if you get up into like the Inuit people.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Like it'd be such a cool thing because you could literally travel like across the United States.
There you go. I like it.
Or just North America in general and just
Brandon Lloyd agrees with the Native American idea. He says Native American culture would be awesome. I love all the medieval cultures, but we don't get much about Indian mythology, Shiva, etc. And Egyptian mythology is really cool, but only a handful of games. So yeah, Brandon's with us. Alyssa?
Rusty says, Hades single-handedly got me into Greek mythology. I recommend everyone get Stephen Fry's trilogy, Mythos/Heroes/Troy, on audiobook is even better because he narrates them himself.
Also a really good read.
Is it?
Yeah.
Nice. And last one, CB.
Mr. Nate Lucas writes in, I absolutely love the imagery and themes from Dante's Inferno, which was a fair mix of both Greek and Roman mythology. Inferno told the story of the journey through the 9 rings of hell. I hoped for the sequels, but I've lost hope of them ever releasing Purgatorio and Paradiso, the other 2 parts that make up the Divine Comedy.
You know, of all the games that need a remake, that one would make a great remake, man.
Yes.
Like, that game was hard to watch in spots. Like, it just felt...
Unnerving
and graphic in a way that...
Yeah, that lust stage.
Well, I mean,
did you ever watch the anime?
I have not.
I watched 1 episode.
Whew. It is.
I wonder if it's still streaming.
Dark places.
It was
if
on
it
Netflix,
is, I'll have to
wasn't
add
it?
Yeah.
It's Netflix?
It was at one point in time.
I thought it was a Netflix original.
Oh, no. There was one that was released at the same time as the game.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I remember. Oh, well, CB, thank you so much for the topic suggestion. That was a lot of fun. I wish I were a little bit more educated on mythologies to be able to contribute, but I did my best. That's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Stick around. We got some last-minute recommendations, but before we do, I want to remind you that The Gaming Outsider is produced by Nate Lucas. All the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. His website is stemagemusic.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. CB and Alyssa, thank you so much for joining us. CB, any recommendations or parting words before we are done for the day?
Unfortunately, it's been a busy week for me, so I'm kind of drawing a blank.
That's all right. Alyssa, how about you?
I watched a movie called Next Exit, which is on VOD right now. You can rent it off Amazon or any other kind of place where you get movies on demand. But it stars Rahul Kohli and Katie Parker and is directed by the daughter of the renowned composer Danny Elfman.
Nice.
And it's a road trip movie, but it's about these 2 individuals that it's set in present day, but ghosts have been proven to actually exist. They've been caught on camera, and people are seeing them. And these 2 strangers end up accidentally getting the same rental car. They're traveling to San Francisco because they want to. It's a little bit of a touchy subject. They don't want to be alive anymore.
Oh.
But it's just seeing them on their road trip go through their feelings, how they get to know each other better, and it really shows what's actually haunting them, not really in a ghost sort of way, but their actual traumas that have happened. And it's just, the acting is superb. I have always been a fan of Rahul Kohli from the beginning, but he is excellent in this movie, as is Katie Parker. And it's just such a unique concept, especially for a road trip movie. And it did make me emotional at times. I would say just check the trigger warnings because I don't want to upset anyone by recommending this movie to them and they watch it and it bothers them. But it is very beautifully done, especially for a feature debut. And yeah, it's something really special.
Very cool. What's the name again?
Next Exit.
Next Exit. That sounds really cool. I have a recommendation, guys. Oh, you guys are both excited for the Callisto Protocol game, correct?
Yes.
If you are even remotely interested in the Callisto Protocol, you have to check out a narrative podcast that I discovered this week called Helix Station, which is a Callisto Protocol story. It is, I don't let the word podcast turn you away. This is not a, people sit around a mic discussing Callisto Protocol. This is completely narrative driven with actual actors in it. Gwendolyn Christie plays the lead. Michael Ironside is in this thing. It is all told in story form where you're hearing these characters interact with each other, and you're getting a little bit of a sneak peek into the world of Callisto Protocol, and it is outstanding. Each episode is only about 20 minutes long. There's only 3 episodes released as of this recording. The 4th is being released on Friday. They release a new one every Friday. Subscribe to it. It's free. It's getting me so much more amped for the Callisto Protocol, especially after recently playing through Dead Space 2. I cannot wait for that game. Like, CB, you're going to love it. You're absolutely going to love it.
Probably. I'm just trying to imagine Brienne of Tarth and Sam Fisher talking.
Yeah, it's really good. His voice is modulated, and they kind of they don't give a ton of explanation as to why his voice is, but he apparently has something on his face that like a
breathing apparatus.
What's the Bane? Like, it's almost like a Bane thing, but you can actually understand what he's saying a little bit better than Bane. It's really good, guys. It's awesome. So, well, CB, Alyssa, thanks again. It was great to chat with you guys, and thank you everyone out there for listening. Until next week, I am Scott Clark with Chris Behrensmeyer and Alyssa White, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.